Good morning. Good Saturday morning. I'm here to do another session with Dwayne. Let me see if I can invite him in. And let's see. I'm gonna look for him to join in. And let's see if he can find me. And we're going to talk about some of the life processing skills, the social tech that we've been going through the past two sessions with him. The tools that we use are about healing, but also about learning how to think differently about life so that we can indeed heal ourselves. It says that we're responsible for priority. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. Grand rising to you.
Welcome in this
Welcome in
morning.
this morning.
How's
How's
life?
life? I'm living the dream as always.
Good, good,
Good,
good.
good, good.
So we're talking
So we're
about
talking about
processing life and
processing
the
life
social
and the
tech
social tech
tools.
tools.
Give me some
Give me
feedback
some
on
feedback
how
on
you've
how
been
you've
using
been
this week
using this
in
week in
your daily life.
your
Has it
daily life.
become a
Has it
practical
become a
part that you can
practical part
implement?
that you can
And are you
implement?
seeing any
Are you
benefits?
seeing any benefits? Actually, it
Hold
helped
on one
me.
second,
Hold
honey.
on one
There's like an
second, honey. There's
echo.
like an echo. Oh, it's probably because I'm through the phone. Hold on. Better now?
Keep talking. Yeah, whatever you did, that turned it off. It
No,
must have been some
yes.
feedback.
Yes, no, no.
All right, are you there? Getting the audio
Hello?
worked out. Are
Hello?
you there? The echo seems like it's gone now. We're getting the technical parts together. I was having an echo. I don't know if anybody else was hearing it, but I was hearing everything twice.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, and I don't hear an
I
echo.
can hear you now, and I don't
Oh
hear an
wait, I
echo.
do hear an
Okay.
echo.
Oh, wait, I do hear an echo. Yeah,
It's
it's because
about
I'm going
five
through the
seconds
car. It's
delayed.
about 5 seconds delayed.
Are you on speakerphone?
Are you on speakerphone? Yeah, I'm through the car. My girl in the room sleep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some. Are you
Yeah, it's
hearing the
got some.
feedback, or is it
Are
just on
you
my
hearing the
end?
feedback,
If
or is
there's
it just on
anybody
my
else in the
end?
room,
If
are
there's
you hearing the
anybody else
same
in the room,
feedback
are you
loop?
hearing the same feedback loop?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Let me have you
Let me have you
drop and reconnect because it may
drop
just
and
be in the
reconnect because
connection.
it may just be in the connection. All right.
We're going to try this again so that we
We're gonna
get
try this
clear
again so that
audio.
we
I don't know
get
if others are
clear
hearing it or
audio. I
not,
don't know if others are
but I'm
hearing it
hearing
or
the
not,
echo. So
but I'm
let's get
hearing
that
the
worked out
echo. So
before we
let's
go
get that
forward.
worked out.
Because if nothing else, it'll be distracting for me. I won't be able to hear. Yeah, technology is not my friend. So we're going to be talking about the life processing tools that he's been using. We've had two sessions officially and another kind of meeting before that where he's been learning some of the healing tools, and we're going to be talking about how he's working those into his life and getting some feedback on the practicality, because it's not a solution for you if it doesn't work in your real life. Okay, let's try now.
Better now?
Are we getting the feedback now? We are working on getting the audio. So we've been working the past 3 weeks. This will be the third week. We've been talking about the social tech tools that we teach, and he's been using them. And so we're going to get some feedback on that this week, and then talk a little bit more about the healing process and how you can really develop new thinking patterns that help you deal with things that come up in life in ways that don't traumatize you or that can heal the trauma that has already happened. All right, give your audio a try.
Is it better now?
Oh, yes.
It's
Give
just
it 5 seconds. Yeah, there's no feedback. Okay, we are in business, or something in the connection, probably just linking up, just didn't.
it was because I was coming through the car, so I just took my Bluetooth off the car.
Okay, whatever that feedback was doing. Okay, so now we're starting. So talk to me about how you have, if you have been able to use these tools in practical ways, and if so, how that's going.
Actually, yes, I was able to use them this week. We've had a discussion about the particular person who was trying to own my time, right?
Okay.
Well, that person was a potential partner that I was courting. And over the course of this week, uh, I think it was like Wednesday or whatever, I hit her up I called her at night. So she didn't answer. So I hit her up like, oh, well, I reached out on my way to work like I normally do. You know what I'm saying? You didn't answer. So she read the message, didn't respond. So I called her. So that means, okay, you're looking at your phone. So I called her. So she picked up. I hear her around a whole bunch of people, and I know who I am as a human being. That's a value right there. Like you around a bunch of people, you hanging out, like you busy. We could talk another time. I'll let you
Can you
go.
put words to what that value is for you? Okay, put some words to it.
uh I guess I don't know. I want to feel important. I want to feel valued. I want to feel like I matter at that moment. Like if I'm talking to you, if I'm taking out of my time, out of my day, I value my time. So since I value my time, I want you to value my time as well.
Okay.
So I asked her, if you're busy, I can get off the phone. She's like, no, 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 no. I want to talk. I'm like, all right, cool. So she keep talking to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like 5 minutes go by or whatever. I'm like, yo, if you busy, we could get off the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. Like, if you busy, we could get off the phone. She's like, no, 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 I'm finna get some alone time real quick. I'm finna get 5 minutes. So she walk away from the people, supposedly finna get some time, but she talking to some other people the whole time. Then she go back downstairs. She's still talking to other people. So I just hang up eventually. You know what I mean? Cause you not valuing my time. So I just hung up.
Okay.
She sends me a text message like, why you hang up? I'm like, I feel like you're ignoring me and that you're busy at this particular moment. So I value my time. You don't have time for me at this moment, so I hung up the phone. And I even asked you at the beginning of the phone call, were you busy? Because I could let you go. I knew exactly how this is exactly what I tell her. I knew exactly how I was going to feel about this infraction. So I was trying to avoid it before it even occurred.
Okay.
You did not allow that to happen. You continued to have the conversation and then continued to ignore me. So
Hmm.
I got off the phone, which I have every right to do. So she like, well, I'm drinking, blah, 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 blah. I'm drunk. So she basically started defending herself. I'm like, yo, it doesn't matter what you say at this particular moment. Like, you know what I'm saying? The infraction happened when you could have avoided it. Period, point blank. So I end the conversation that night, done with it, right? So the next day, she hits me up like no good morning text, because usually I text good morning first when I get off work, right? So I'm like, no, ain't no good morning text. Like, you offended me last night. Like, you think like that's just gonna go away. It's not just gonna go away on its own. Like, you didn't handle it correctly. You know what I mean? You didn't just straight up apologize for ignoring me. You tried to defend your actions. Then you tried to blame me, or basically because my girl came over in earlier in the day when me and her were talking. She set a rule where she don't want to talk on the phone with me when my girl is around, right? So I abide by that rule. Whenever my girl come around, I let her know, hey, Julia here. You know what I'm saying? Do you want to continue to talk or not? She always says, let's get off the phone. Okay, that's your choice. You're deciding to get off the phone, not me. I'm not picking that. You are. So she will turn that every time into me blowing her off, even though that's a rule she set.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the type of person we're dealing with. Like you turn that into me blowing you off, but when we're on the phone, and I'm asking you to get off the phone, and you are actually ignoring me, you're not seeing that as an issue. You see, so right now we're having a conflict in values because you're asking a value out of me, but you're not reciprocating that same value to me. So that's showing me you're a different person than what you're asking for because you're not.
Okay, let's pause there because I want to take you back because part of this is there's some progress. I hear it. I hear the mind spinning part about trying to sort out situations and why they're causing you aggravation in some way. And that's the word I'm using, not a word you use, but it's causing you some distress in a way, and you're dealing with it real time. But let's go back because this is about learning these tools because they work in collaboration. They work when you use them in order in the process.
Right.
So let's start with the facts because the facts, I think you were able to identify those very clearly. But what you did was you went into processing mode and you went into processing mode for the person that you were involved in instead of you, which is like saying, I see this situation is causing me aggravation. So let me tell you all the things you need to do to fix this situation so I feel better about that.
True.
And you went there before you dealt with the healthy order of processing if you want resolution. Now, this is one of those processes that I don't make judgment calls for you. And you can handle life however you want to, but the reality comes down and only you can answer it is it working for you? Did you get to some resolution at the end of this, or is this stuff still spinning and impacting your life in ways that have you still twisted? And so when we have issues, we oftentimes see people going into processing mode. I want to fix this situation. I want to figure it out and get myself back to this calm. And usually that calm is like, and I'm right about the situation, if we're being honest. But I didn't hear not a word about how this impacted your emotions.
Oh, I
And
didn't.
the
I wasn't
thinking
upset.
process that then begins the process of tripping us up. Because when you skip over this process, you start moving too fast and you already figuring out how to control someone else's behavior. And if that's not a part of your value system, what are you doing right then and there? Even in your processing and rethinking about this, you're creating more of a traumatic situation. That means you're blowing this situation out of proportion and making it more traumatic.
Wow.
After the fact, even. So let's go back. We know what the
Okay.
facts were.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's deal with the emotion part of it. Can you put words to that? You felt some kind of way. Which ways did you feel?
I just felt ignored. That's it. Really.
Is that it? Are you sure?
Yeah. That was the only emotion. Like I tried to avoid feeling ignored, and you still did it. So okay, I felt ignored and disrespected. That's probably the two things I felt at that particular moment.
What else? What else?
That was
Because
it.
it's something that happened in the past. How are you feeling about this now? As you think about this situation, what are the emotions that come up?
Nothing.
Can you? Okay.
I've already processed this. I'm not dealing with the person anymore.
So you've come to a resolution.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it means you've processed it. Let's talk about your values because I heard you immediately in the way that you told this story. Instead of you making a decision, you put the emotional work on the other person to make a decision about how you were going to handle this. Instead of you saying, this does not feel like you're giving this conversation the attention I want. It sounded like several times you said to them, well, if you're not going to, and that's not what boundaries is about. Boundaries is about you making decisions for you, not deciding that someone else is going to make decisions for you. So let's go back to the beginning of this. You felt like you were not being given the attention that you wanted. And there's no right or wrong. It's I wanted a certain amount of this person's undivided attention or less divided attention. And when that didn't
No,
happen,
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
okay, let's put words to it.
What I wanted was the person to behave in the same manner that they request from me.
So
That
you would no, let's deal with that because this is at the value point. You wanted to control what their behavior was. You had an
right,
expectation. No, you had an expectation for their behavior. It wasn't met. Would that
right,
be
because they
accurate?
have an expectation of my behavior. So if you're gonna have an
Qualify.
expectation
No,
of my
no, no.
behavior,
We're at facts. We're not analyzing this. We're at facts. I'm clarifying, helping you clarify the facts because that's what happens, and our stuff doesn't get processed.
okay,
If you see an expectation that's not being met, the other person is not agreeing or living out that expectation. We don't decide whether it's a capacity issue or they don't want to, because you would have to be able to read that person's mind to go down that train of thought. And that's not going to help you get to resolution. So
okay,
this is about helping you have a
right,
framework. So when you're wanting to go into thoughts that aren't going to help you with resolution. Now, this doesn't take away your right to go down those thought paths. But if you begin to understand these tools, you understand that those thought paths, the way that we think that's a product of our experiences and our damage may actually help you make the situation worse. That's the part
okay,
I
but
want you to see.
all right. So to me, I felt
Your
like
expectations. Nope. State your expectations clearly. You wanted this person. The person had stated, because you have to add facts into this. The person
okay,
had stated what their expectation was for your conversations. Is that fact?
right, exactly,
Okay. Your expectation was that they keep that agreement or understanding. Is that
exactly,
fact?
exactly,
Because
yes,
this is what you're doing when you're creating that layer of values and expectations. Those were your expectations. You got on the conversation with the expectation that this person was going to give you their divided attention when you're having phone conversations. Does that
exactly,
sound accurate?
yeah.
The
Because
person
they
did
had
not
already
meet
set that
expect.
value. They had, because they had set that expectation for me.
So it's a reasonable expectation. They set the expectation for you. They told you what they wanted for you.
Right.
Did you tell them what you wanted for you? Did you do that same thing with them of establishing what your expectation was? Or
Yeah.
did you expect that person to read your mind and just
No.
make an assumption?
No. I when they said that for me, I was like, I can agree to that, and I would expect the same thing out of you.
Okay. So this is about facts. We actually had an agreement about how we were going to communicate with each other because that's healthy stuff.
Right.
Not expecting her to read your mind and you not expecting to have to read her mind. That expectation was not met in this conversation.
Right.
When someone does not share your expectations in this framework that we're practicing with, what is your responsibility when someone does not share your expectations? Who's responsible for setting the boundaries?
Me.
If someone's not meeting your expectations, we talked about that being the ground zero of trauma. Trauma is happening right now. That's the flag on the play right now. If you notice that last week we talked about when you recognize someone is causing you harm right now, what should be kind of in a logical thinking process, what should be your first move
To end the trauma.
in the trauma? And when someone does not share your values and expectations, how do we resolve that situation in healthy ways? Who sets the boundaries?
I do.
You set the boundaries.
Right.
In this situation, the moment you realize that there was a confliction happening, did you set a boundary or did you ask that person to set a boundary for you?
I did.
Tell me how.
I told them that due to the behavior that they showed me in handling the situations, I feel they did not have the capacity to be the person that they were asking me to be and do the things that we agreed upon. So I no longer wanted to continue communicating with them.
Okay. And then did you hang up the phone?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Go back to your story. No, you didn't. You said you went through this thing about 2 or 3 times with asking them if they wanted to get
No,
off
no,
the phone.
I'm saying eventually that's what I got to though. I gave them the first night they said what they had to say. I excused that them being drunk. When they were sober and they continued the same behavior, I explained to them that I gave you.
Wait, stop. You worry about somebody else. Your healing is about you. I'm only talking about you.
Right. So that's what I'm
Did
saying.
you realize that you were not getting the respect because you connected this
Yeah.
with respect? At that point, let's go through this step by step. At
Mhm.
that point, tell me why you didn't establish that boundary. Why did you leave that open for someone else to establish that boundary? You know what you felt. You know you were feeling ignored right then and there.
I don't know because I didn't know if because it was a first time thing. So since it was a first incident, I guess I didn't want to just be a jerk and just slam, like, you know what I mean? Because in the healing process, I understand you can make rash decisions quickly on people as well. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to make a rash decision right there in that moment and just shut it down. And it could be just accidental, right? So
So wait a minute, because we're talking about the why. That category of thinking, is it because you would have felt guilty for making the decision then?
I don't know if I would have felt guilty. I would have just felt like I didn't give the person a fair shot of explaining themselves, saying as though they weren't in that right frame of mind.
So you were willing to not feel okay in that moment. Because this is it's not making a judgment. This is just understanding yourself. I felt disrespected right then and there. I
Right.
felt ignored or not given the priority of attention. And I only want to communicate in those times. That's the stuff that you're saying in your expectations. But then when we look at your behavior, okay, when someone was not respecting you, what did you do? Well, I wanted to give them a chance. And that's okay. But you need to understand that what you were doing in that point was sacrificing your emotional well-being. As long as you understand it and
Yeah,
own
yeah,
that.
I understood that in that moment too. I did understand that in that moment too. That if I didn't just shut that down, I was allowing this person to continue this behavior, especially if I don't set that boundary right away, continuing going forward. That in that moment, I did understand that, I did process that, and I did know that. So, but I was, again, like I said, I guess I rationalized it to myself as they were drunk. Maybe if she was sober in that moment, I probably would have just shut it down. But because she was drunk, I was like, okay, I'll give this person the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how they behave once they're sober. If they continue the same behavior once they're sober, that means that's who they are. You got to shut it down at that moment. And that's why the next day I did shut it down, because they continued the same behavior. And I was like, okay, you just cannot give me what I need. So it is what it is. Like it became, because like you said, I don't want to make assumptions of a person, right? And so the
Mhm.
responses were coming off condescending and textbook narcissistic responses to me, right? So
Uh-huh.
I don't want to call a person a narcissist, or I don't want to put that label on them, but the behavior seemed to.
Let's let me pause you right there because I want to be careful about not going into spaces that become harmful. Do you have the capacity to put that title on somebody? No, you
No,
don't. You don't have the credentials to make that diagnosis. And we start talking about things in titles and in categories and labels instead of explaining what's really going on. What is the person doing that right then is causing you problems?
the
Because if
deflection
you
from it,
don't learn how, you don't
they weren't
think through,
accepting accountability for their actions.
tell me what that means. Explain that to me. Don't use the term. Explain what actually happened that makes you think they were not being
They said,
accountable.
they said, I'm sorry, but after you,
Okay,
I'm sorry, but once you add a but to I'm sorry, that's not an apology.
the person gave an apology but wanted to also give an explanation.
Exactly.
Okay, because that's what actually happened. Or the person then said, but, and wanted to continue talking about their reason for doing some behavior.
Right. Or they said, well, I gave you time with your girlfriend. Like, you ain't give me shit.
Hmm.
I own my time.
What's the value that their words,
Like,
or the expectations that their words spelled out? What's the expectation that you felt that person
they
had
felt
for
like
you?
they own my time again after I've explained to them, you do not own my time. So
Okay.
to
You
tell
see
me.
You see how when we go down and dig deep enough, we get to the expectations that have been violated because we're trying to get to the core of the issue.
Right.
And sometimes we don't have the words to do that because we stop at you're a narcissist. That don't help nobody. That don't help. If they're doing reflection of what's going on, that won't ever help them. But when you say the value that you just gave me, your words make me think that you are expecting ownership of my time in a way that does not align with what I believe. Now that gives you one, it tells you what your problem really is.
Yeah.
You're a narcissist is like telling somebody, I feel some kind of way. Well, no. That's a cop out. That's a cop out. What do you feel? What kind of way are you feeling?
Yeah. They continue to show the same expectation of ownership of my time.
Okay, that gets to the core of the issue. That's where your issue is. When someone, that person, and probably anyone else claims ownership of your time.
Yes.
Now we're getting to the ground zero. I want you to pause right there and I want you to think, can you think of other situations with this person or other people where someone claimed ownership of your time? Just kind of let your mind flow through your memories.
I got a whole bunch of ties, and that's why I don't talk to majority of the people anymore in the world, because a lot of people feel like they have ownership of your time, but
Ah.
then they dismiss your time when you're giving it to them. So like it's not an
So wait,
equal playing field.
let's dissect this. So what you're talking about is partly ownership of your time, but you just mentioned something else. There's an issue of reciprocity.
Right. That is
If I
like
give it to
I,
you should give it to me.
I would have a lot less issues with a person trying to have ownership of my time if they reciprocated it. It's like you can't have an expectation on me and not give it back. When that is not a two-way street, that's definitely going to be a violation for me. You know what I mean?
So this is not right or wrong. This is simply helping you to do the value realization part of this. So one, you've got a value in your life that sounds like it's an important one that says, I expect the expectations to be given back. If I agree to treat you in one way, I expect you to treat me in that same way.
Exactly. At all times.
So part of that is, what's your value on equity of the give and take? Should both people have to keep this balance? How do you see interpersonal relationships?
Now I understand sometimes it's going to be a floating scale, right? And it might be 60-40, 80-20. Like I get that. I 100% get that, because life is life. People have issues, things
No,
happen.
wait, look, let me pause you because I don't think you do. Part of this is you just established a value in our talking. I expect reciprocity. But now, as you're thinking through it, that really isn't your value because you just said something that totally misaligns with that. Sometimes it ain't 50-50. Sometimes it's 60-40.
It,
So what's your value about reciprocity?
my value, it should seem like it occurs more often than not. It shouldn't seem one-sided.
So you want relationships that feel closer to reciprocity, or that there is a give and take flow and it's not one sided.
Right. It should feel like a relationship should feel like water moving in the ocean. Like it should flow. There should be like it should not be a wall. There should, you know what I mean? Like it should not just go one way. It should bounce each way. Like it should be a wall on both sides. But the wave shouldn't just flow one way and never come back.
Sometimes our values are that kind of feel. It should feel like water. And sometimes all you have to go on, does this feel like water? Nope, this feel like me carrying the buckets up a hill.
Right.
Sometimes we don't have the words, but this process is about helping you get to an understanding. Because even if you didn't have a very clear, concise statement on what your expectations were, if you were to share that with someone, that gives them a better understanding of what your values and expectations are. And part of that's a feel. I expect to feel a certain way in relationship, and that's being heard and valued, and some reciprocity, you giving some effort. And sometimes those things are harder to quantify. You can't put that in a nice, neat box. But getting to that point in yourself helps you then understand anytime that's not happening in your relationships, you're going to have some conflict. And so you're seeing that in this situation where those expectations of reciprocity are not there.
Right.
How
And
is
you're
your,
not accountable. And you're not accountable for it.
okay, that's another value. I want people to own their own stuff. So
Yes.
how would you put that into words about your expectations?
Um, if I come to a person with an issue, I expect them to, even if they don't feel like they, even if their intention is what I feel, right? However they made me feel, I don't need an explanation of what the action was. I just need them to acknowledge that the action made me feel a way, and that there's things that they would do in the future to try to prevent that action or from me feeling that way.
Is that a
So
value you consider in a partnership, to be concerned about things that impact you negatively?
say that again.
Would that value be something similar to wanting the people or person that you choose to be in or consider for an intimate kind of relationship? You want that person to be concerned about the things that cause you sadness or hurt or
Yeah, because I give that in return. So seeing as though the way I
take
move,
the give it in return part off. Take it off because that's strings attached. Keep it just your
yeah,
values. When you
my
put those
value
strings,
is I move a certain way because I want that in return.
okay, so what you're saying is you move in a way because of the expectation of the give back.
Right.
Let me just give you something to think about. That's what strings attached is about. I'm only doing this because I want you to do this in return. And I'm trying to get you to a place of saying, regardless of what you give me in return, this is my boundary for my life and how I'm going to do this.
Well, yeah,
Because
because that's how
part
I
of
am. Okay, I guess that's how I guess you have to say it. Because I am a particular person and I am going to give a particular type of love regardless of whether they give it to me in return. I expect that type of love given to me. So
I want
I'm not gonna stay in
you to make the
relationships.
distinction.
My thing is because the value I give to other people, I am not gonna just I value myself as a person, right? So, and I know the value that I bring to people's life. I'm not gonna waste that energy on people who don't really respect it.
Okay. Again, that is about having strings attached. If you're going to get to the place of freedom, now this is Lorana's philosophy. It's about being able to be who you are with no strings attached. I don't care what anybody else is. I don't care how anyone else moves. Let me tell you how I move. I move in circles, and if I choose to give my time, I'm only going to give my time to those who value it, period. I don't care who you are, period. These are my values. If you do not value my time, if you do not treat me in a way that feels respectful, I am responsible for placing the boundaries, the gates around my life that push you outside of that. Because if I leave you in my inner space, and I know you do not share my value in a certain area, not whether you believe it, whether you can live it. You cannot live that value. Then I know if I keep you in my space, I have to welcome the harm that comes with it. I'm responsible for the harm that I allow in my space because I haven't set the boundaries.
Okay,
That means other people don't offend you.
that's a way better way of stating that. That's I feel is what you just said is exactly how I feel. I just have not learned a way to voice that like that, but that's exactly what I expect. What you just said is what I expect.
It's a thin line, but I have found it to be such an important line. I'm being this, and here's how I hear it play out in life when I'm hearing people talk in these TikTok streets. If I'm scrolling through some of the lives to just listen to what people are saying and how they're saying it, it's I respect people, but girl, you triggered me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you some something, 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 something. All of a sudden, I have selective values. I
Yeah.
believe people shouldn't disrespect me, but here I am disrespecting you because of your behavior. Who's in charge? Somebody else's behavior now is in charge of you in your life because you've let yourself get triggered. And now you become a person who you have said you are not.
Yeah, and
You have
that's why I've gotten to a point in my life now. Like, I don't like people yelling at me, right? So whether people yell at me or not, I don't raise my voice. I just keep my voice at the same tone. And if they continue to yell at me, I just shut down the conversation because that's just, you've broken a value now. So like, I am understanding like the matching energy. I am at the point of where I'm trying to stop doing that, but I'm trying to learn, like how you said, how you just broke that down. I wish I would have quantified that to that person in a better way of how you just said it. Of like, I have this expectation of my life because this is how I move. And I just don't want people around who I feel like don't have that or can't live that same expectation.
Do you see how that frees you from needing to be responsible for other people, and how that frees you from not being responsible or not needing to bring in other people into the decision making for your life?
Yeah, because
Freedom is about me getting to choose exactly who I am. And as I'm healed, I heal those areas so they're not triggered anymore, and I begin living true. Then what happens is I don't care what your behavior is. The most loving thing I can do for some people is to shut them out,
yeah,
disconnect. Sometimes that is the most loving thing because let me give you the logic flow. If I do not disconnect from you and you continue triggering an area of damage in my life, sometimes my behavior modification doesn't hold up. And I then get triggered beyond my level of healing to push myself into behavior that traumatizes me, first of all, because that's what I'm first responsible
that's
for.
cool. Right, right,
Then, if I get triggered and I go down that rabbit hole of my damage, I move into my addicted mindfulness. Trauma is the addiction. Then I add behavior to my life that traumatizes me, and sure enough, gonna traumatize you. Hit
right,
me in one of my unhealed areas, and I could cause you some damage.
right,
And so, if I want to be loving first to me,
right,
self, we're not going to inflict no more pain because we got issues we need to be working on, and adding more stuff to our issue list ain't the vibe we going for. But also, if I already got a problem with you right now and I go there into left field because I didn't hit on one of these unhealed areas, I'm also going to cause you harm, which is going to make you worse. Does that help me any better if now you worse and I got to interact with a person who's now 2 degrees worse than you were 5 minutes ago? That all of that is working against my best good for living life free and on the side that's of love and not the ego, the fear and the guilt and the insecurity side. And so if I began to take responsibility for me, I can't fix you. I can't fix the damage that you may do because you living through your issues too. You're doing your best, but you're living through your issues. So what I do is I say, ooh, we ain't in alignment right here. Our stuff ain't lined up. So let me close this door right here to the damage part. And we're going to deal with each other either when I can deal with you in a way that's healthy or not at all, if that point never comes.
right.
You own your life when others are not able to trigger you. And this is something that I from the outside can't see, because you can tell me you're not triggered. You know what your inner Sha-na-na is feeling. You
No,
know if something's
I definitely was triggered. So I actually should have shut that conversation down. I actually didn't do the proper thing, and I didn't go through the steps actually all the way correctly. Because what I should have did is once I was triggered, I should have just shut the conversation down, processed the fact that I was triggered, and then came back to the person and explained to them in a better manner. Well, in a
Wait, wait,
better
wait.
way.
No, you're going to a good place. Wait. Pause. Push that all the way back because that's our last step. Before you go there to that analysis, because we do get to analysis. This ain't throwing analysis out. Before we get there, though, there's some steps along the way because we're trying to make sure none of those roots from them seeds get left. We looked at what was happening. Let's go before we go to analysis and let's look at how you responded because that's about giving you information about what you reach for in your emotional drug of choice. So now let's talk about this happening and let's talk about your part in this. When this started triggering you, let's talk about your behavior, just what you did. And let's go back to that facts. Let's take that analysis hat off. Take that black and yellow hat off of analysis. Let's go back to just the red hat of facts. Tell me what you did in response once you began to realize you were triggered. Give me all the little tidbits of facts of what you did.
I continued the conversation instead of shutting it down.
No, don't give me the analysis. I continued the conversation.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to do the should part right there. A friend of mine used to say, don't should on yourself. We're not doing that here.
Yeah.
We get to the end because remember, we've got to clear away that proneness to think through this from our addicted mindfulness, from our I've been triggered. That means something in my fear-based spectrum has been triggered. So I kept talking. What else did you do?
That's it. I just kept talking.
What else? Keep going because there were some more steps to this because eventually you did something else. I hung up the phone.
Well, we said in the first conversation.
What else happened? What were your responses? I want to know what your responses were. I kept talking. What else?
Well,
You told the
on the
person to
phone,
make a decision.
okay, I guess in the beginning of it, what started all I guess we do have to go all the way back to the initial thing, to the phone call. Okay, so I stayed on the phone way longer than I should have stayed on the phone.
No should have. No should have.
Oh,
I
yeah,
stayed on the phone.
I stayed on the phone. So there's no
Longer.
shit. There's no shit. I stayed on the phone longer. And then I stayed on the phone longer. And I stayed on the phone longer. Then I hung up.
What were you doing on the phone? You were asking the other person to make a decision? What did you do?
Pretty much, yeah. Because in that time that I stayed on the phone, I allowed them to determine if they were going to adhere to the value or not. So when they didn't adhere
Ask
to
the
it,
person if they were going to. No, you reminded the person of the expectation?
yes, that's exactly what I did. I reminded them of the expectation. I
We're
did.
taking it step by step. I stayed on the phone. I gave them some grace. I
Right.
realized something might not be aligned, but I need to make sure. I reminded them of the expectation. Okay, now something's triggering and saying something don't line up with what I thought was our agreed upon way of interacting with each other.
Right.
Let me clarify that with them to make sure I'm not misunderstanding what the expectation was.
Right.
What else did you do?
And then they responded with, okay, I'm about to be alone for 5 minutes.
I gave the other person time to respond.
Right. Exactly.
Because we're talking about what you did. I
Yeah.
ain't talking about what they did.
Yeah,
I want to know
I gave
what
them
you
opportunity. I
Can you
gave
tell
them
me again?
opportunity. Yeah. After reminding them of the expectations, I gave them an opportunity to respond to my reminder.
What else did you do?
I stayed on the phone longer.
What else did you do after that?
I stayed on the phone longer.
Anything else that you did?
Nope. I hung up after that. Because
No,
I didn't remind them again or anything. So I just stayed on the phone longer and then I hung up.
Part of that is some of that is what didn't happen. I did not hang up the phone.
Right. I did.
I
Right.
did not hang up the phone. I gave them another chance. So they explained themselves, and then what did you do? I stayed on the phone. Did their explanation confirm that there was a violation in the values, or did their explanation indicate to you that you were wrong in your assessment?
No, their explanation explained that they understood that there was.
So they clarified for you that you were actually in the midst of a traumatizing situation.
Yeah, because they were like, I'm trying to find alone time. So that means they understood that they were not meeting the expectation at that moment.
And so you got clarity on your confusion.
Yes.
So you at that moment knew that there was actually a confirmed, because the person gave you the accountability back that says, I know I'm violating that expectation.
Yes.
Okay, so you had clarity that there was indeed, you weren't making a mistake. What you felt was affirmed. You feeling uncomfortable or you feeling disrespected because the person, I don't think this person is matching up to my expectations. And then you say, hey, this was our agreement. Is that what you're doing? And they say, that ain't what I'm doing. I ain't doing that. I know that's our agreement. Yep, we sure did agree to that. Are you, but you're not. And they say, no, nope, I ain't doing that. So it confirmed for you that there was violations. And in that moment, what would a healthy mind tell you to do? Logical mind, not your addicted mind, operating in response to your triggering. Now that you are in that place of thinking, now let's go there.
I should have just hung up after they responded and I gave them an opportunity to adhere to the value. I should have just hung up. I shouldn't have gave them no more time.
Sometimes we learn the lessons through the experience. When you begin this process, what I see most often is as you're learning how to use it, it ain't first nature yet. You still go into that behavior that when you go back, you say, self. Now that we done cleared our mind, not in that addicted state anymore. Self, what were you thinking? Self, you thought that they was violating you. You questioned it. You didn't make rash decisions. You clarified. You asked some clarifying questions. They confirmed what you were thinking. And self, right then in that moment, the flag had been thrown on the play. They had reviewed the tape and they knew that there was a violation. And right there in that moment, if your first job was to take care of you, this is for future self. We're not giving you no judgment issues for what happened. Because did you do your best in that moment? Did you do your best?
I did.
Best you could offer in that moment, and you can see some progress. You see some progress was happening. You was trying to get aligned with them values, but your ego stuff was stronger.
Yeah, but
I know.
Right. I was
do the right thing, man.
Yeah, I was definitely trying to
get thing.
I was trying to do both, like, because before, like, I know me as a human being, and I can just make rash, shut down decisions, right? So I worked on that.
No. I'm not going to let you do that. Some of that is a product of our damaged. Right then, I don't care how rash you think it was. If your first job is protecting you and you thought you were in some real danger,
I should shut it down because it was clarified. It wasn't an assumption at that moment. I knew, and I was told that I know I'm violating you, and I'm sorry, basically. But I'm doing the best I can. Like, no, they know the best I can. The best you can. Well, I guess you know what? The best you can is okay. You're right. The best you can is the best you can do. But at this moment, that's not good enough for me. So I need to shut it down.
See how your very thinking takes you off track. The person said, we get back to facts. Step one. Right. I'm doing my best. Is that true? Absolutely. What you were seeing was their best. Was their best good enough for you? No. This is about being honest. Right. I understand you doing your best at every given moment. However, right now in this moment, your best is not good enough for me to stay safe emotionally. And I get to decide how much sacrifice I'm willing to do right now. This is causing me some damage right now. I'm confirming that flag on the play was accurate.
Right.
I'm trusting that my emotions did what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I was feeling some kind of way. I checked what I was feeling. And now I understand that my emotions are helping me understand that something ain't lining up with my value system here. And if it's not lining up right here is where damage is happening, right here.
Right.
If we learn to trust ourselves, but see, our insecurities come in, but my guilt comes in, but I need to, give them some extra time, but I need to, and see think about making rash decisions from our addicted mind, no, don't do that because it's going to take you in the wrong way. But when we gain trust that this framework helps us to stay on the healthy side, then we can say, right now, you are violating my values. Now, you can put soft words on it because sometimes our tone, you just have to understand, you have to
So,
understand.
so in that moment, I was working the process. I just didn't finish it.
Wait, you were working the process, but your addicted mindfulness was stronger right then. And
Right.
you could only get 2 steps, which is why you need to put your behavior modification in place for yourself. Self, if you get triggered, you know how many seconds did it take for you to go left on this? I got a good 60 seconds, but if they keep on me,
I got about, I got about,
threshold.
I got about 3 or 4 seconds in me before I'm gonna go left with you.
If you now know that about yourself, your behavior modification game got to get strong. This doesn't throw behavior modification out. It says self, if you give yourself too much time in a situation that triggers your sense of respect,
Right.
your
I'm gonna
sense of
go there.
equity
Yeah,
and
I'm
give
gonna
and
go
take,
there. Yeah,
you know you're going to go left on this.
for
And
sure.
if you go left, you're going to cause damage. Self, today, before we leave this house, we're going to look at ourselves in the mirror and give ourselves, self, your first job today is take care of you. Every opportunity you have, take care of you. Be loving to you. Because what you did was you twisted what love is supposed to look like. You twisted it. Love is supposed to be, I love me. And I need to love you in the best capacity I have. And if you trigger me, I can no longer love you at the same level. I need to put some distance so that I can give you love that doesn't add
Right.
poison to
Okay,
your life.
okay. No, I'm 100 on that. I
Did,
see exactly where you're going and how it can help you because I do want to be in a place of love and I do want to talk to people in a loving way. So once I'm triggered, I try to tell myself that I'm still being loving, but I'm not being loving. I'm in another brain. So I do have to just shut that situation down because it don't take long for me to go a different way. So you're absolutely right. I just got to shut it down. I understand the violation. Like you said, I did work 2 parts of the steps. I just got to keep working the steps and just keep working it till it becomes second nature. Because I am the type of person who pick up things by doing it through repetition, and I tried it in that. I see where I got better, and I can also see where if I continue to do it, it would just become like second nature. And I would even actually probably be able to get the words better to how what emotion it is and things of that nature. Because like it did work in that moment. It didn't work exactly how it should have, but it did work effectively enough for me to realize that that person didn't have what it takes, or at this present time doesn't possess what I think it would take to have a healthy relationship with me.
no, it doesn't possess what you need.
Me, yeah, what I
Because
need.
that's who you have some say over. You can't read their mind and know what their mind was dealing with at that point.
Right,
And trying to do that doesn't help you heal. Remember, this is about I'm the only one that can heal for me. And
right.
when we
Because
start,
I don't want to control anyone else's behavior. I just want to say what boundaries of mine either you can meet them or you not. You know what I'm saying? I just want to look at it from that angle. I don't even want to try to like guess on if you have the capabilities. It's just black or white. Are you or are you not meeting them? You know what I'm saying? So I don't even want to know, do you have the capability? That's on you. Do you have the capability? I'm letting you know in this moment you aren't meeting something that I need.
and
So
is other wait, this is an important piece. Are others required to meet our expectation? Because this is where we also get twisted. Because you
no,
didn't meet my expectation, so something's wrong with you.
no, you're
Do
not.
you get to do you get to set the preferences for your life? And do others also get to
Yeah,
set those preferences? And
right.
sometimes they just don't line up.
Right,
It ain't personal.
and
It's preferences.
they can decide whether they want to meet my expectations or not. There's no love lost in it if they
Isn't
don't.
that no strings attached? Isn't that freedom?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't you want people in their natural state of being?
Right,
And
because
then you can
I
see
won't,
if
I
that
won't.
lines up with mine.
This is my thing. and
Misalignment.
I've always looked at it in life. I am not trying to convince anybody to do anything, right? If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no for me.
Pause right there. No. I want you to hold that right there because this is going to come full circle. That's the value you don't agree with. That's the value you don't agree with.
What you mean?
Repeat what you just said.
If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no for me.
Okay. In the situation, because this we're talking now in your logical mind. You're not in that triggered state right now.
Right.
I want you to take that thinking and I want you to think about how that was the exact thing you were living when you gave someone else permission to set the boundaries for your life, knowing good and well that they didn't have the capacity in that moment to set healthy boundaries for your life. That's the value that you're talking about. I'm gonna make you responsible for setting boundaries for me because I'm feeling this kind of way. You need to tell me if you want to get off the phone, if you don't really have time to talk to me, because it seemed like you busy and da-da-da. And so I want you to decide if you're going to hang up the phone and talking to me because I feel like you violating my values. That's the same value you're talking about. You were living that value that right now in your logical mind, you're saying that ain't the way things should be. You see how we live the values that we don't believe? And we then create the trauma in our own lives. Not that other people don't add trauma to us, but that right there is something you could control. You live that value that you just said you absolutely don't agree with. You were the one doing it to you. Are you seeing that connection?
Yeah.
Because that's the connection that you have the capacity to cut the strings on. Those are the strings that we're talking about being able to, but this is not a brute force. This is the healing that you do begins to cut those strings naturally. As you begin to understand your values clearly, and you
Right.
see us honing your values, we're sharpening. Wait, that's not just one value. It's a value of respect. It's a value of reciprocity. It's a value of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
It's a value of being honest with me. You telling me something, but I don't see that. You're telling me you have time, but I hear you behaving in a way that don't make me feel like I trust that.
Right.
So I'm feeling like you may not be being honest with me. You stringing my time along and you're not being honest, and I'm asking you directly and you ain't being honest. So there's also a trust thing that's probably underlying there.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot going on in that small bit of things. And
You see how complicated it is? You see how
even though I couldn't put all the words to it, the emotions was telling me this ain't right. So you're absolutely right in that moment when the emotions tell me isn't right.
do
Once
you
I asked, once
do you trust your emotions?
and that's what I have to do is trust the emotion that this isn't right. I did ask the question, so I kind of did trust the emotion. That's why reiterated, hey,
That's your
you may
growth
not
point. Wait,
be
stop there. Stop there. If I knew how to do that, this is where you give yourself a pat on the back. This
right,
is when we get to that step 5 and you say, hold on, man, hold on. Cat. We started this thing off. We got our perspective in line. We started thinking through the values in real time.
right. In real
And we
time, I was
started setting
processing.
good stuff. Give yourself space to see growth. Growth looks like that. That's one little step. Did it help the whole situation? No, you got
No,
derailed kind of
no,
midway there.
I didn't go all the way through. I ain't go all the way through. I got to be honest. I
Uncle,
didn't go all the way through, but I
Uncle would
was
give
in
you one
real
of them.
time
We
processing.
ain't got to go there. We ain't got to go there yet. We ain't got to go
Right,
there yet. That's what my uncle would say. No, first we stop and we say, self, we're growing.
right,
People want to know about healing and they want the results, but they don't want to go through the work. Self, we are growing. We knew right off the bat, we were programming ourselves. We've been thinking about this stuff. And right off the bat, we knew something didn't match up. And we knew a little more now. We knew our values wasn't lined up with this person. We weren't in alignment with this person.
right.
And we started getting ourselves. That means I'm starting to learn this process and it's starting to creep into my first nature.
Yeah, that's
However,
what I liked about it.
also,
That's what I
I
liked
also
about it. I
realize
reached
how
for that
strong
first.
my addiction is
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
area. So this
yeah.
damage is more than simply my mental willpower can help me. I got to heal some stuff here because this area of my damage was too strong for me to just mentally move out. There's some damaged spots that I got to heal because I got to get them layers off.
For
So
sure,
it's
for
telling me
sure,
exactly
for sure.
where some of my damage is. We talked about life being the curriculum. Tell me now, right now, from your clearer perspective, tell me where some of the damage is in your area. Circle around what kind of emotional things for you. What kind of emotional triggers is some damage in your life? This is the if we're going to be honest with ourselves part.
Well, I mean, I guess it would definitely be at some point in my life, or well, I know for sure there are moments in my life where I've been privy to information that I shouldn't have been privy to at that age, and no one thought about the fact that I'm hearing things and I'm able to process it, even though I'm only 10 or 11 years old. I was an extremely intelligent child. I was in gifted classes all my life, right? So my mind at a younger age was probably at a teenager's age already at like 5, 6, 7 years old. Like the conversations I had with people were not the type of conversations a 5 year old would be having, right? So, but my mom, she had me at 14. So, I mean, she's 19 when I'm five. So, she doesn't really know exactly. So when the things happen in my life that really probably damaged me the most, at some point I'll maybe on private conversation, me and you will talk about some of the things. But she was 24 when the most traumatic thing happened when I was a child, right? So the conversations that the adults were having about the situation that happened. It didn't happen to me, it happened to my little sister. But the conversations that they were having, I was in the room. So I was able to process everything that they were talking about. And so no one thought that that was damaging to me to get that information and just be left with that information and never go see anybody professionally. Nobody, basically, this happened. This person is too young to know that it happened, but the other person is here, but we just gonna act like it didn't happen. We're just gonna sweep it under the rug, and it's just gonna be a family secret, right? So that I think is the beginning of happening to feel important or need to feel included or feel respected or feel like I'm intelligent enough, or if you question my brain power or things like that. So I guess that's the biggest trigger is why I need to feel respected.
So these are indicators. I think that's a really good processing. These are indicators because what happens is life is the curriculum. Something comes up. What stuff in your life needs healing? Look and see what stuff gets triggered. And then this process gives you the tools to sit down and be able to unweave those areas, one incident at a time. Because each incident, just like this, you started out with, I got one emotion. No, there's three emotions swirling. You started out with one set of values that was having some issues. And then when you look at it, you realize there's three or four really key ones and probably a whole lot of other little bitty ones that
Right.
might be swirled into this. And each of those is showing you parts of you that haven't been healed. That's it. It's not a judgment. And so the one side of this is about seeing the people that come into our lives, and instead of only focusing on the damage that they create in your life, the other part that we can do, this is the silver lining, is gratitude. Hold on. This person is helping to illuminate some areas of my life that are not healed.
Right.
How else would I have learned and had this light shined on me? So even though people come into our lives and we see some of the negative feeling emotions that are spawned by that, the reality is that not a benefit to you if you're on a healing journey?
Oh, for
Can you
sure.
not see value in that? And that's part of my moniker that says no wasted time is I don't care how you behave. And sometimes your behavior creates trauma in my life. But if I understand that you have also helped me shine some light on some areas in my life that need work, if I'm committed to working on those areas, you've given me a gift. Now
Right,
I may still have to put the boundary because you don't you violate my
right,
boundaries, and I can't have
right.
you put no more damage onto the list of stuff I need to work out in my life. I got a whole long list of life shit I got to work out, and you adding to it because I control my schedule for my life and my energy, and I can't have you be adding no more assignments to my list of stuff I need to fix. Then I put boundaries. But this is what love looks like. It says I'm going to be honest, and right now, if I'm being honest, I can't take care of me and have you in my space. Because if you trigger me, I'm going to make me worse. I'm going to make me worse. And when I get committed to not being worse, my boundary game gets real good. Because I understand if I feel guilty about doing what's the most loving thing to myself, the feeling of guilty is my damage. And I'm
Yeah,
going
for
to do
sure,
what's
for
most
sure,
loving to myself.
for sure.
And so having a framework though, because as you could see in this scenario, you got triggered so quick and you got into that addicted mindful state because trauma is the addiction and our behaviors are the drugs of choice that you didn't weren't able because you got so far down that rabbit hole to pull yourself back to wait a minute, Lorana told me if I use this, if I know I'm being triggered and I use this framework, this is the thing that keeps me in sanity, in logic, keeps me in alignment when I'm not able to do it on myself. And that's why practice makes this better. Practice is what comes out when it's the muscle memory for your emotional health.
Right.
There's certain code combinations. I can type my password in by muscle memory. It trips me up when I'm on the wrong page and that ain't my password because it's almost like muscle memory after you do it so many times. Your emotional state is the same thing. This tool initially, we are doing reactive healing work. We
Right.
are reprocessing something so that you can understand it through the logical healing mindset.
Okay, so
But as you use this tool, it becomes a proactive tool because as you were triggered, you saw how quickly you could go right there to that thought pattern. That's why you have to practice it so that you take yourself through the next steps. Step two, let me evaluate my values before I make an action. And step three, let me make sure that my actions are truly aligned with my values because I know that when I get triggered, I will do things that go absolutely against my value system.
right,
Absolutely.
for sure, for sure, for sure. I
So
will.
this is you get out of it what you put into it. The more you use it, how, Lorana? Every time something creates a negative emotion, put that on that list so that when you've got your life processing time and you're trying to do some intentional work, you say, that thing right there triggered me. And I didn't have time right there to figure out why it triggered me and what it was shining light on in my life and da 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 da. But now I got tools. And so let's go over that. I had my notes. And for people that are trying to move into a different way, if your healing ain't working, this is just a simple journal that has the prompts and some of the steps. It's $5 because I didn't want to have an inventory, so I put it on Amazon, and you can just buy the workbook. But let's go through this and let's make sure that if there's any questions that we clarify the steps that we're suggesting
Yeah,
you use.
let's redo that too because just to make sure I'm going down the steps exactly the right way too. Even after the situations are over with, when I'm processing what occurred, how I acted,
Yep.
um, all that. Like I just want to make sure I'm even doing it. Even I'm trying to get to the point where I'm doing it in real time. But if I can't do it in real time, if I can at least do it afterwards
Reactive.
in
Exactly.
in my reflection, because the whole thing, what I'm trying to do in life is I'm just trying to live from a place of love. I'm not trying to do nobody wrong. I don't want nobody to wrong me. I want to protect my own space, but I want to protect it in a loving way. I don't want to give no damage to nobody, but you know what I mean? But I want to protect myself all at the same time. So I feel like this will definitely give me the tools it takes to not only stay in a place of love and stay aligned with my values, but also give the people the space that they need to be who they are and not judge them for whoever they are, but still protect myself and protect my boundaries and keep the people that I don't want in my life out of my life. Period. Point blank.
Take that whole little thing that you just said because isn't that the definition of the results we expect from healing? If
Yeah.
healing is getting you to that place where you are living your authenticity with the least amount of guilt and fear and insecurity being triggered, getting to your most loving place of existence.
I
And it's
think that's
healing
the
those
purpose
areas.
of life. I really think that's the purpose of life. I think that's what we're
Wonderful.
really here for, is
All
to
right, so
get to that point.
we're going through this. Step one. Step one. If you're doing this in written form, and I strongly suggest that, you're after the fact processing time.
That's what I
If
need
you
to
do
start doing, is writing it down. And I haven't
absolutely.
been doing that. I need to start writing it
Absolutely.
down.
Absolutely. There's a whole lot tied to writing and the release of energy and a whole bunch of other things. We ain't going down that rabbit trail because I could, but we're not going to do that this morning. But if you're doing this in real time, these would be the thought processes that trigger your mouth or the lack of your mouth. That's what this would be. Okay. So, step one, the first thing we do is frame the incident. We take stuff one incident at a time because, as you can see, one little incident is complicated.
Yeah.
I'm a
One
fiber
list.
person
Just
and
one.
trying to untangle yarn. I'm trying to show you my yarn, but it's somewhere else. Trying to untangle yarn. One strand of yarn tangled up is bad. Take 10 strands of yarn, get them tangled up. It's nearly impossible. We start with one thing at a time. Let's be realistic. Let's be
Right.
realistic. And so the first thing we do, if you were writing this in your journal, is you name it in 6 words or less. And I do that on purpose. 6 words or less. Give a name to this incident because one that forces you to put a title on this incident that lets you make this a specific incident. Phone conversation. No.
No.
Called my friend. She didn't listen. Or however you frame it. 6 words or less. Struggle with that. Wrestle with that. Trying to get what's the real incident here? Because part of that is what's my focus? What of this is important to me? You didn't give your attention.
Yeah.
It's core for you.
Yeah.
You didn't prioritize me.
Yeah.
So with this, 6 words or less, what's the title? Then we go straight to facts. This is the red hat. Facts. What's the facts of the incident? What did that person do? What did they say?
Right.
Facts. This ain't what you thought about what they said, what you thought they were thinking. This is only
That's the
fact.
one I gotta work on. The facts.
Because what's our value? I am not capable of reading your mind.
Right.
I will not take on the responsibility for reading your mind.
So what did and did not occur? That's it.
Those
That's all.
2 values in my life I stick to. I ain't gonna read your mind. I'm not gonna read your mind. Put words to it for me. Because if I have to read your mind, I will misunderstand you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to make you do your emotional work and I'm going to do mine. I'm going to give you what's in my mind that I want you to know because I don't want you to know everything in my mind because I get to choose how much of me you have access to. But if I want you to know something about me, I have to be responsible for sharing that with you. That may be a value system. So anyway, what happened? What are the facts? Don't include explanations. And in your writing, it's past tense. That's important. It has already happened. You cannot undo facts. They've already happened. You did this. You did that. And we don't have you name them. We say you.
Right.
Because we deal with one relationship at a time. You did this. I did this. We do that. Part of that's on purpose because you're learning how to have conversations that lead to healing.
Right.
You did, and you don't need to name that person because this ain't about them. This is about you.
It's about me. Right.
And we want you to remain centered in the healing process. When you started talking about this other person, you no longer were centered in your healing process. And does that make any sense?
No, it does not.
If you are centering, so this is a system for people who are committed to healing, not a system for people who are just looking for relief from their pain.
Right, exactly.
If this is a drug of choice, the analyzing other people, that ain't what this is about. I don't care if you're a therapist. This is not about analyzing other people. This is about centering your healing. And that's why some of this Not that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter in your healing process. Once you get done with your healing process and you have emotional energy to speculate on life outside of yourself, because that's what you're doing, speculating, then
Right,
fine.
exactly.
If you choose to spend your energy that way, I don't suggest it because that does not seem like productive use of it, but you can spend your energy however you want to. But it ain't going to help you get to healing usually. This is about centering your healing. So, your facts. What are your facts? And I'll read the prompt. Name it. In 6 words or less, give each incident a title. Write a narrative of the incident you are focused on using only facts. Use as many of the details as you can remember. Because sometimes they don't seem important to you. Put them in there anyway. I want you to tell this story with as much detail. Which day of the week was it? What time of day was it? Did they call you on the phone? Did they call you on your work number? What are the details you can put in? As many details as you can remember, because sometimes those details you don't process in real time, and then they become things that give you insight for you. Don't include any explanations. None. No judgment. Know what they thought. I feel like you is always going to be an evaluation.
Right.
I feel is about your emotions. And
Right.
so, as part of your facts, your emotions are facts, even if your facts are not truth. I felt disrespected. That's okay. You can feel disrespected even though somebody has not disrespected you.
Got you.
Feel triggered. You may feel disrespected. Your feelings are fact. Your feelings may have nothing to
Okay,
do
so
with truth.
you do write down the feelings that you had in that moment as well.
Absolutely. And feelings you may be having as you're processing, because feelings move in waves. You may be feeling angry at that moment. When you're processing it, you may have felt angry. I felt angry, but you may feel disgusted right now in processing this foolishness again. Oh, here I am processing some shit I didn't already process. I have done 4 of these things on this same issue. Here I am again. Right now I'm feeling disgusted. That stuff I'm saying is the stuff that happens in our mind. What's the feeling? I felt. I feel disgusted. I may feel angry right now. And so it's evaluating and sorting out the I feel some kind of way and putting real words to it. Because what we're doing is helping you grow your emotional intelligence, helping you grow your capacity to explain what you think and feel to somebody who's outside of your head. Doesn't that help you have better interactions with people if you can do that?
For sure.
So we're helping to grow that. So you include facts, and included in the facts are what you felt. Nobody can tell you you didn't feel it. People try to. You didn't feel angry, or you shouldn't feel angry. I don't care what I should do. I do feel angry. Period. Fact. That's what I feel. I don't care how unreasonable it is. I'm trying to heal me. I'm trying to figure out why I feel this kind of way over a situation that really don't, from the surface, look like it should be causing me this kind of thing. I feel guilty. I feel guilty about something. I meant what I said, but I still was feeling guilty. Fact. So that's the first step. And then you sit there and you list your emotions. And in this workbook, I start you off with a list, gives you the feeling words. But you can go online, use your technology, Google feeling words or feel wheel. And I challenge people, because sometimes our vocabulary to communicate these things is limited because we don't use it. What you don't use grows weak. And so I go through the list. If you don't know what the word means, acceptance, admiration, adoration, affection, afraid, agitation, agony, aggressive, alarm, alarmed, alienated, amazement, ambivalence, amusement, anger, anguish, annoyed, anticipating, anxious, apathy, apprehension, arrogant, assertive, astonished. You start going through this. Are there any other feelings that come up? Wait a minute, hold on. I didn't even realize I was feeling a little aggressive. Yeah, I was feeling aggressive in that moment. I was feeling defensive in that moment. Disappointed, disbelief, discomfort, despair, discontentment, desire. I wanted somebody to respond to me. I was feeling desire. I desired to be needed. I desired to be heard. I desired to be important. Wait, I did feel some desire there. That's what triggered me to then feel disrespected or ignored.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
embarrassed.
I need to get that book. You said that book is on Amazon?
Amazon, $5, man, $5.
Yeah, I need to get that.
$5. But as we're helping you now, how deep do you go? As deep as you are able to. How much emotional energy you got? I tell people, take the time. If you got to put it on a timer, give yourself 1 hour. But any words you don't know, look it up. Look it up. Come on, people. We got too much information these days. And I had them go through flaky, focused, fondness, fright, frustrated, glee, gloomy, gratitude, grief, grouchiness, grumpiness. I felt guilt, happiness. I felt hatred, helplessness, sick. I felt. Go through the words because on one little incident you think is one little incident, there may be 30 emotions that flowed in and out through you. Didn't mean you held on to them. Didn't mean you held on to them. You felt them. That's part of your reality. I felt this kind of way. Those are the facts. Because before you start processing stuff, don't you want to put all the facts on the table?
For sure. Because how can you process if you don't have all the facts? It's
How
kind of
many facts
hard
do
to
you want to put on the
say
table?
the
I let
facts.
people choose how deep
Yeah.
you want to go. Because if it's I'm a farmer, I'm a retired farmer. If you got weeds that have germinated, wherever those roots are, if you don't get them up, they're going to come back. They're going to come back. And they come back oftentimes a little stronger. So, how deep do you want to go? Do you want to get the whole issue resolved or not? Deep as you can. Some days you don't have as much energy. Some days you can't go that deep because life, you got other stuff. That's fine. You get to prioritize your time. You get to prioritize how deep you heal. But giving people the tools on how to start is part of what this work is in this workbook. If you ain't got nowhere else to start, if what you got ain't working, start here. And I recognize that folk don't sometimes have the words. Most people, mad, sad, angry, happy, is a very short list of emotions. And some don't even, I don't know, I don't feel nothing. Ooh, that's concerning. We're meant to have these tools for life. Our emotions, no good or bad, our emotions are simply tools. If you see an emotion, it is a flag on the play of your life. Now, some emotions are good flags. They're the green flags. Some emotions are red flags, obvious red flags. Some of them are yellow. You got to stop and assess. Is this good? I'm feeling some kind of way. It's feeling a little uncomfortable. Who is this potential? Now, some things in life just make us sad. They're just sad. Not getting my way makes me sad, but not getting my way to traumatize me sometimes because it don't conflict with my values. I want you to do something for me and you say no. Man, I'm disappointed. Is disappointment going to cause me trauma? Nope. You have the right to choose your time. I have the right to ask for it, and you have the right to say no. I ain't conflicted with that. My values are not conflicted. You said no. Appreciate it. I asked. It was worth a try, but I'm still disappointed. Fine. Be disappointed as long as you want to, but understand it doesn't create trauma in your life. And so it's giving you the tools to determine. It's just, I'm disappointed. I can be disappointed. That's honest. I wanted you to help me, and you just don't have time to help me. No values were violated for either of us. Thank you for considering my request. And let me go on and figure out another way to get this done because I need another set of hands to help me with this or whatever. Or I just wanted to spend time with you and you did not want to spend time with me. I need to know honestly. I want somebody that wants to prioritize time. And this person isn't able or willing to do that. Oh, then do you want to be in this relationship? Oh. And it takes you to a better understanding of yourself. Okay, so step one, we got step one. What's step one? Facts. That's it. And my feelings are facts. And then give yourself time. Do you need time to let those emotions do their thing before you get, so that you can get back into your logical mind? Because we don't want to process from the state of our addicted mindfulness. The ego is in place and it's going to tell you to go there. Figure out what's wrong with them. That's why we get into that explanation analysis of them and we stop centering ourselves. Once you feel like you've got the space to move past that, self, we have felt angry as long as we've chosen to feel angry. Let's now start processing. And don't mean the anger's gone. It means I think I'm in a clear enough state of mind that I've honored those emotions. They were trying to tell me something. I got the point. I'm going to stop right here on this thing and pause because I know this is an area I need to look at. So then we go on to step two when you're ready. And the first thing is, what are the word presuppositions is an old fashioned word and it comes out of the academic setting sometimes. What are the expectations you went into this with? In this case, you went in with some expectations because you had the conversations about what the expectations were. Oftentimes we don't have those conversations, and that's a whole nother issue. Because why are you not having? Don't you want to know how we gonna agree to be with each other? Like, shouldn't we know that from the put our cards on the table up front? But presuppositions is the stuff that I expected before coming into this. It's values, it's assumptions, it's expectations. I assumed you were going to behave in a certain way. Whether or not you said you were, I just made it all up in my mind. I made the assumption, or I had the expectation that this is how our interaction ground rules were going to be. And so it's about listing those. And I have people break them down. Give me all the assumptions that you saw in this scenario that you didn't agree with. Give me all the assumptions in this scenario that you did agree with. I own my time. You don't plan out my schedule. You don't plan how I give my energy. I give my energy to who and when I want to because I feel like I have that right. You assumed that you could control how much of my time and energy you received. You assumed you could control when I gave you my time and my energy. Oh, I see the ones I agree with. I see the ones I don't agree with. Now I can see very clearly where the trauma is happening in each of our relationships. Because now, if I understand when you don't agree with my values, I'm experiencing trauma. When I don't agree with your values, you're experiencing trauma. So now both of us in this situation right now are being damaged. It doesn't matter that you don't agree with their values. If they hold those values and their values are not being aligned with their being traumatized. So now you got two traumatized people in this situation, and life has already thrown the flag on the play for me because I know a little bit better now about understanding trauma. And so we have you list out, these are the values that I agree with. These are the values I don't agree with. But we take that farther. Once you've identified those things, what did I lose? What did I lose? And we look at that. What did this interaction actually cost me? Let's stop there for a moment. The last part of this is, how did I respond? But let's stop right there on the what did I lose? This is step 2. What were my expectations and values and assumptions and expectations and presuppositions? Which ones did I agree with? Which ones didn't I? What did I lose? If you look at this situation, what did you lose? Were there some real losses in this interaction that we've been working with today? What were the losses for you?
Time.
What kind of time? Let's qualify that. What kind of time?
I lost like 30 minutes of time. Actual 30 minutes.
No. Let's go deeper. What kind of time? Time that you spent in a positive state of mind? What kind of time?
In a negative state of mind.
Quality time?
I was just it was distracting.
So I lost focus.
Yeah.
Okay. I lost time, and you need to qualify that. I lost time I spent my time on something that did not feel good and that may have been damaging me. So I lost productive time. I lost healthy time. I lost, whatever that thought process is. What else did you lose? What are the real losses? Any other losses for you?
I guess I lost some progress in my healing.
Added more damage to your life.
Right.
I added some micro traumas to my life here. This wasn't a super big one, but these are some micro traumas. You decide how big or small it was. Is this a boulder in your life, or just some little sand irritating you, or some pebbles? Some pebbles in my life.
It was an irritation that could have become a pebble if I continued to process with that person in an unhealthy manner.
That's good insight. So this step is, I count my cost. I sit down and process. This has cost me something. It's cost me some damage. How much? Oh, this is some sand, irritants, but I caught it before it got to be a pebble. Okay. And then your response. Once you do that, we then began to look at those responses. Now, for someone that's doing a deep dive, we would take 10 or 15 incidents from this person. If you're processing a relationship, maybe a relationship's ended, maybe it's a problematic relationship, but it ain't ended. We start taking groups of events. You may have 10 or 20 or 30 step 1 incidents in your journal. And then we go through and begin to do the step twos. If you're doing a group, if you're doing a deep dive, or that I do with some of my coaching clients or those that are seeking certification, they do a deep dive. They take 30 incidents from one relationship that's caused them pain. And we do all of the step ones before we move on to step two. Then we do all of the step twos before moving on. And so step three is really for those that are doing that kind of large processing, because what we then start doing is looking at your responses. We move your responses over because the first thing is I can look at the things that you did that did not violate, that violated my values. That lets me know what you did that caused me trauma. But then I begin to take and do the same thing with the things that I did. Now I look at my behavior. And so we take your responses, what you actually did, the facts. I kept talking. I asked for clarification. I kept talking even after I got my clarification. I hung up the phone. I set the boundary. I hung up the phone. And then we would take those responses and list them there because we're going to do the processing all over again. We then go to step 4 and we go right back. What were the values that now my behavior conflicted? What were the behaviors that did not conflict with values? I hung up the phone. Did that conflict with my value? No confliction. What was my value? My value says I own my time. Oh, so my behavior aligned with my values. I ask for clarification. What's your value? If I don't understand something, I ask. I don't expect to read someone's mind. I don't read other people's minds. I ask questions instead to get clarity. Did you do that? Yes, I did. Yes, my behavior aligned with my values. The person told me they did not match my value system, and I did not set a boundary. I kept talking. Self, you kept talking. Was that a violation of my values? Yes. I have now adopted a new value system that says if someone doesn't share my values, I am responsible for setting the boundaries that I need to stay safe. I didn't set a boundary. But self, we eventually got it and we got back on track and we set a boundary. Great. Hanging up the phone, aligned with my values. Now, step 4 lets you see where you have been the abuser in your life. Because step 2, you can't control other people's behavior. You just have to learn how to process from it if you've chosen to interact with that person who then does not share your values. But step 4 is about, but this is my behavior and I can control this. This is where you get some insight into how your behavior is creating trauma in your life. Which values of your actions do you agree with? Which values do you not agree with? And then, if you're thinking through that, now, what are the losses from your behavior? Because of your behavior in this interaction, let's talk about this. This is step 4. What are your losses? Tell me your losses because of your behavior.
Oh, so I distracted myself.
Okay.
I allowed my values to continue to be conflicted. So, which means I added trauma to myself. I added my own damage. I used unhealthy coping mechanisms at some point during the situation. I was able to eventually set boundaries. I did do some parts of the processing. There was some growth shown in the situation. So there was some healthy parts to it, and there were some negative parts to it. So I guess as I continue to use the process, you just know that with the growth, it will over time it would be more and more. How you would be able to quantify if you're growing or not is as you write this stuff down. There's more pros than cons to each incident.
How aligned are you with living your values?
Value, right? Exactly.
Because eventually you get closer and closer to, I see what you did. Let me check me. Because
Right.
this is balance. This is not one-sided work where all we're gonna do is check other people.
Right. Exactly. And
Acknowledging that if I interact with other people and they got issues, they could create damage for me. That's real. That's honest. But wait a minute. When I began to look and say every bit of my behavior, I meant it. I was living my values. Ma'am, you don't have time unless I give it to you. You can't demand time and emotional energy unless I give it to you. I thank you for making the request for that. The answer, respectfully, is no. And if they keep pushing, the answer, respectfully, is I said, hell no. Love you. It ain't personal. This is, I need this boundary because my first job is to take care of me. And if I don't have this boundary, I volunteer to let you abuse me.
Right.
And I'm trying to gain control of my
Right.
life.
Right.
And I am committed to removing the things in my life that keep creating damage. And right now, you are that thing. So, my commitment to self, because I have to learn how to love me in ways that are healthy. And I've learned through life unhealthy things like I'm going to be concerned about how you feel, which I don't even know before I make decisions about how I feel. Wait a minute, self, how do you feel about this situation? I don't like it. Well, self, what do you, if you're being honest, what do you want to do? I don't want to be having this conversation right now. Use your words, use your big kid words. I'm sorry. I thought I did, but I'm sorry. Right now, based on what I'm getting from you, I don't want to have this conversation anymore. No, 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 no. I can't even tell you why, but I know it's taking me to a place that's unhealthy, and I'm working on that. I'm working on staying in a place in my life that ain't adding more damage. So I know I called you. I called you. However, I feel like I have the right to change my mind at any point that I realize I made a mistake. And right now, I thought that I could have the conversation that I wanted to have with you, but that tone, not that you're doing anything, but that tone makes me feel disrespected. And right now, that feeling of disrespect is triggering me. And I know when I'm triggered, I may be prone to go to that mindfulness that really operates in my life like addiction. I'll start doing things that ain't in my best interest. I'll start doing things that are not true to my values. So, self, sometimes this is the conversation with self. You know that right now in this split second. If I'm being totally honest, wait, the first thing is be honest, because if I lie to myself, I'm gonna traumatize myself. Okay, because that would conflict with my values. So, self, right now in this moment, let me be honest. What do you really want to do? I don't want to be talking to this person right now. Self, are you willing to act on the things that you know are true? I'm sorry. And this may cause you to feel some things. I understand. You know, I, I, I feel for you. But here's what I need to do for me right now. Right now. I know you want to talk. I'm sorry. Right now, I need to end this conversation because I don't want to cause you no harm. Because causing you harm would cause me harm. So I'm gonna hang up this phone. They still talking. They just heard me say I can't do this, and they still self. Are you not in control? Are they forcing you to have this conversation? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Stop bullshitting. Are they forcing you to have this conversation, or are you volunteering to be in this conversation? Do you know how to hang your phone up, self? Stop blaming them for you not hanging your phone up. If you don't hang your phone up and they keep this zap talk talking to you, what's getting ready to happen to you? You gonna go sideways. Do you have time in your day right now that you want to spend your energy going sideways with this person? Yes or no? Ain't no right or wrong. Make a decision. Self? No. Hang up the phone. But they still talking. Did you ask them to honor the boundary? They're telling you they're not willing to honor your boundary. Self? Hang up the phone. Self? They're telling you they're not willing to honor the boundary that you've spoken in love and in truth. What do you do with people who do not want to honor your boundaries? You lock the gate and build a wall on that part of your life. On that part of your life. Doesn't that conversation sound logical?
Oh, for sure.
Does it sound honest?
Yeah. That's how you should live your truth.
Different, but that line of thinking, these are the steps. Because what you begin to do is, as you begin processing, our brains work mighty fast. As you begin in the moment processing that, and you say, what is my honest answer? Do I want to be having this conversation right now with this person who is clearly violating my values? If I do, then I own every bit that comes with it. And I got to own some of the responsibility for letting them stay in my space. Because if I let them stay in my space, it ain't logical for me to now feel resentment for them hurting me.
Right. Exactly.
But if we don't have those tools, then we do it without even understanding. And so, step 4, what did I do? Which things did I do that lined up with my values? Because that's the stuff you stand on. I said, you don't own my time. I don't care how you feel about not getting it. The answer is still no. If you got to be upset because I tell you no, then be upset. I'm okay with that. You have the right to be upset. I'd be upset too if somebody didn't give me what I wanted and I really wanted it. But that's not my responsibility. I have the right. I have the freedom that I am good enough to let you be you. If my truth upsets you, I am learning how to deal with my guilt. And so I'm going to go work on my guilt about why I feel guilty about you being upset when really it makes sense. You should be upset because I told you you couldn't have something that you wanted. But we ain't supposed to be babies no more. We're supposed to be grown-ups. We're not going to be babies and then have a temper tantrum when we don't get our way. But you can if you want to. I'm just not going to spend my energy there. And then once we've done that, that's our step 4 process. Step 5 says, let me recap now what I've learned now, because I've cleared some stuff out. What are the losses that I experienced because of you? Let's be honest. You have done these things in this interaction, and because of that, I have suffered these losses. And self, we being honest now. So self, these are the losses that I suffered because of me, because I'm going to work on me. I'm going to see what you're doing more clearly and see how what you're doing creates losses for me. And then I'll decide if I want to keep paying that price. But self, we have a whole different conversation when we're talking to me, because you can control this behavior, and this behavior that you have chosen to do, self, I'm looking in the mirror, has created this loss in my life, my loss in my relationships, my loss in my family dynamics, my loss to me individually, wherever those losses are. And then the end of step 5, we move to step 6 that says, now that we've unpacked this situation from a clear-headedness, now in the most loving energy you have, I want you to have a conversation with yourself. Dear self, dear Dwayne, dear Lorana, now that we've unpacked all of this, and this sometimes is hard for people, what you need to do is, Lorana, hold on, whoa. That's the most loving tone. If you can't get no more loving than that, pretend like you're having this conversation with somebody you do love. How would you help them to see some value and resolution in this? Self, man, we off to a good start. I'm seeing some progress even in the little ways because we realized we were triggered. Because before, we didn't even realize we was triggered till 2 weeks down the road. We realized immediately that something wasn't right, and we connected with where we know we needed to look. But we stayed in that situation too long, and we learned some lessons from itself, but we created some damage for ourselves. We sent some mixed messages to someone that I'm already having problems with, and I've also created some harm to myself. But now I understand better. And what else do you say? Sometimes it's, man, I learned this. This right here is an area that I could see a whole lot of issues. And self, I think we should really spend some time looking into this. I've seen 17 issues flash before my life about when feeling disrespected has caused me to end up in situations that did not serve me well. Maybe we're going to start really thinking about this respect thing in our life and figure out where this comes from, because now I see this is causing me lots of problems. And the rest of the loving message to yourself might be, but we're making progress. And isn't that what our expectation for ourselves is if we're not using guilt or judgment? If we're really using love, self, we are on the journey and we've made the commitment and I'm seeing the progress. Small progress is still progress, self. Self, let's keep doing this because I'm getting some benefit out of this. I'm feeling more in control of my life. I'm feeling less controlled by the strings of other people that don't align with the strings I want pulled in my life, self. And we tell people if they just take these 6 steps over and over again, everything that comes up, if you start learning to process it this way, you get deeper and deeper into where the core of the damage is. And more life gets in alignment with your truth. You begin healing those areas that make you feel guilty about living your truth, or insecure about living your truth, or afraid to live your truth. And the more you heal those areas, the closer you get to authenticity, the more your capacity to love people for just who they are. Doesn't mean you fuck with them all. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. Because loving them at the sacrifice of yourself isn't the kind of balanced love that we're talking about. It's I'm loving me, and I have to love you with the capacity I have left over after I love me, not before. And there's places in life where we choose to give much more grace, that we choose to give extra emotional energy to people. We're willing to suffer some damage for some relationships. There's relationships where the expectation is I'm committed to staying at the table as long as you're committed to staying at the table. That's covenant relationship. There's a give and take expectation. If you're willing to stay at the table, even if we hurt each other's feelings and cause damage, we agree to come together because we got some tools now for communicating this. We agree to come together and stay at the table. If I come to the table and you don't come to the table, we got to renegotiate our agreement. Agreement was I only was willing to do this if this is honest expectations. I'm only willing to do this if you're willing to do this in return. If you got strings on your commitments, understand them. It's not saying that don't have strings. It's saying make sure that you commit to everything you do in life. Life ain't just living you. Life is allowing you to be in control. It says, I don't care what you do to me, I get to choose the person that I am. If I'm going to be loving and what you're doing is going to take me out of that loving space, I'll put a boundary up because I want to be a loving person. And so the boundary is you can't come into my space because I may go somewhere because I got issues. I got layers of stuff that ain't healed either. Just because I'm healing don't mean I don't have areas that's going to be triggered. They show me the next layers of stuff I need to be working on. But if I know that I can't do that in your space because you trigger some stuff that I ain't worked on yet and I ain't ready to put on my list to work on, then the loving thing is put a gate up. I talk to you through the fence. I talk to you through the window emotionally, or whatever that looks like in your life. I lock my door. There's certain people, I put their name in my phone so that if I want to answer, I answer. And if I don't feel no guilt. Don't have the emotional intelligence to even say hello to this person. That's why I have voice message. Leave a message. And when my emotional energy is at the level that I choose to deal with this, then I will. And it's not feeling guilt. It's learning not to feel guilt about doing what is right by us, by our value system. And at the same time, this process says, is that really your value? We've done that some a bit today. Is that what you really believe? No, not really. What I really believe is, and then you clarify. And each layer then becomes healed, and you become less triggered by less things, and you become more aligned with living your truth. And that for me is what healing's supposed to do. And that for me, if we begin helping people get to there, we start living life in a different way. We start living life with the capacity to deal with people and accept them for who they are, not trying to make people be something to conform to what my needs are. I need you to be my drug of choice. So I need you to behave in this way. That's where we are right now in society. Growth is I'm going to accept you for who you are and then decide how much of my life I'm willing to share with you, which parts of my life I'm willing to share with you. Because then I am creating my life based on my expectations. It's a simple process, but it begins to do a complex work of helping us learn how to think in ways that actually heal us, help us think in ways that deviate us from the way that we think when we're thinking through trauma. Trauma is addiction. The ego feeding behavior are the drugs of choice. Even if we add substances to that mix of things, it's our behaviors, any behavior that helps us soothe the fear, guilt, and insecurity that's triggered when something hits our damaged spot is a drug of choice. And when we begin to see trauma in that way, we understand that one, trauma is happening all the time. Every time our value is conflicted, we get a micro trauma. But two, we have the capacity to do the healing. And that is what this work is all about. So, give me your step 6. What's your summation of this week's incident that we focused on? Tell me in your most loving dear self letter. Tell me, now that you've seen the losses, the conflictions, you felt the feelings, now give me your step 6. Who were you before trauma? Who have you been through the trauma resolution experience? If you're being totally honest, how do you see yourself at the conclusion of this resolution process? If you were taking a look in your emotional mirror, in your most loving voice, write a letter to yourself. What do you tell you coming through this today?
I would tell myself that there are still some major things in your life that
No, that's your most loving self? You done poured out your heart to yourself, and that's what you start with? Come on, let's look at the quality of your love. Come on.
you gotta give yourself negative things too before you give yourself positive. You always start negative and
I
then
didn't
positive.
come to you. I've told you this situation, and the first thing you do is you hit me there. Is that the kind of love you want to interact with you?
Yeah, because I want people to be honest with me. There was negative in the situation, so you gotta see it and understand where the growth is also.
Let me change it. Let me change it. Let me help you out. You're talking to this young man. He already know all this stuff. You've gone through this process.
Oh,
You
okay,
exactly where you tripped up, and this is where you start in your loving.
I get what you're saying then. So then if I'm doing that, then I would say that you're on a path of healing. You're taking the steps every day to advance yourself.
Stop right there. How does that tone feel for you? How does that make you feel differently? How does that approach, that loving approach, how is that making you feel? Like right now, like for real, let's be honest.
I mean, that's better than the other one.
Doesn't it feel better?
Yeah, it does.
Your inner sha-na-na, them emotions,
Yeah,
they're your guides. Keep going.
that's more
Keep
in
going.
line.
We feel like we're on a loving track now. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
follow that. But
That's a little better.
do you
I,
see how hard that is to start though? How we don't even talk to ourselves in loving ways? We start with judgment.
yeah, I get you.
Let's go back there because I want to finish this part because this is the important part of the resolution. All right, self, we off to a good start. Self, we
All right,
doing
so yeah. So self, you have started a very important journey in your life. So far, you have felt how fulfilling it can be if you continue the process throughout. It can be a very helpful thing. You're growing, you're changing, you're becoming better every day. And if you just look at the positive ways this small process has already impacted you, you know that you are already gained tools that could be extremely important and helpful to your life to become a lot more loving to yourself and creating loving situations with other people.
anything else you got to say to yourself? Anything else?
No, that's all I got right now.
How does that feel? Because you've already learned the lesson. You know where you went sideways, don't you?
Oh, for sure.
Do you know why you went sideways now?
Yeah, because I was triggered.
And do you know what areas of your life were triggered now?
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that important information? Do you need to beat yourself down to remind yourself of that? Or did you learn the lesson?
No, yeah, you learned the lesson, so you just grow from that.
Isn't that what we tell ourselves? Isn't that the loving stuff that we need to tell ourselves? That's step 6. Self, we went through this process and doggone it, we done learned some stuff about ourselves. We learned when we were triggered. We learned why we were triggered. We learned what areas of our life still need some healing. You're doing the work. You caught yourself before going all the way left field, and then you got sidetracked and got yourself back on track and could end this before it caused some more damage. Self, high five. We doing it. It's not the destination, it's the journey. The journey is supposed to be teaching me. I'm getting myself ready for better. What? Better what? Better love. How to love myself better. How to love you better. Not through my damage. So I'm poisoning the love I'm giving because I need you with these strings attached to feed my insecurities. I get these codependent self, we doing it. And self, we seeing some progress. We're doing the work, and the work is giving us a return on that emotional investment of energy. This looked like a good place to put some more energy, self. And what do you see about you? Growing, self. You growing. You growing, self. That's what I see. You were not capable of doing this before. I remember, self, 17 times at least that we went down this road and oh my gosh, it ended up in a war. But wait a minute, I was able to back myself out of this. I was proud of myself. That's what I felt, proud of myself. Not perfection, progressing. It's not perfection I'm seeking progress. Do I see progress, self? I see some progress. I don't care how small it is. You growing. Next time, we're going to remember this. We got a little bit more information about ourselves. We know how something triggers us. Now I know how fast I get triggered in some areas of my life. So I need to be a little swifter on my behavior modification. Figure out your behavior. Figure out your behavior. Maybe I should pre-plan some outs. If that happens, what can I do? Just hang up the phone. Just hang up the phone. Put it on, my bad, call got dropped. If they call back, send it to my bad, call got dropped, technical difficulties. What? I had to drop the call because I didn't have the words to say and I was getting myself worked up and I knew enough to know that if I go there, I'm going to cause myself some damage. So all I could think of was get yourself. She said a flag is already on the play and I'm still playing the game. Wait a minute. Flag is on the play. It's a flag. Okay, self. Go do the review. Can you do it right now? No. Get your fool self out of danger for you get yourself swirled into this. Okay, self, we got it now. We got it. That's the way the thought process starts happening. And so what we encourage people to do, they said, but this is a little simple book. It ain't got a whole bunch of pages. I don't care how many pages it got. If it help you get there, what difference do it make? Do you need a plan to help you keep from going down that dysfunctional road that you keep going down to that keeps getting you reactions that you don't like? Do you
No,
have something to pull from the
that's not what I
trigger?
want to keep doing.
And so this begins to give you the tools. Does it fix it? Heck no. If you don't do the work, it don't do nothing for you except probably make you feel guilty because she done gave me some tools and I know they might work, but I ain't even gonna put the energy into using them. But this is about giving you tools that are practical. I'm not going to be in your life every day. 1 hour a week for the next couple of weeks don't give you enough. When something happens, you can't always call me to say, walk me through this. Now I do that. I do services like that. People that want to do life processing, I take them and stick firm. Or people that want to use this tool, I take families and take them through family court process. I have families that every week they have a standing meeting and they have to come and they work out their issues together. I can help you do that, but I ain't gonna be there 24/7. Nor is the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching. None of that stuff's gonna be there. You need to have processing tools for how to think through life every day, every second of the day. Those are the kind of solutions for me that make sense if we're gonna really fix it. Ain't nobody gonna follow you around life, coaching you through life, even though you and I right now are in a coaching situation where I'm coaching you through this because I want you to learn the tools. But I don't want to create dependency. I want
Right.
to empower you
I want
to
to be
have
taught how to
tools.
fish. I don't want to be given a fish every day. I want to be taught how to fish.
And from the standpoint of the helper, I don't want you dependent on me. Calling on me every time you got some little situation and you can't work it out. That's emotional intelligence energy on me. I don't want to spend that on people's life. I am not responsible for your healing. Like, I'm firm. That's one of them boundaries. I am not responsible. I can volunteer to take on some of that burden and help you with that, but I'm good. I ain't responsible for your healing. It's you. Why would I spend my life energy healing you when I know that ain't possible? Why would I spend
Exactly.
my time trying? I want you to take responsibility for your shit and heal your stuff. Are you responsible for all of it? No. Sometimes bad stuff happens because folk got issues. It's owning that and realizing some of my damage is because of other people and it was out of my control. But as you can see in this situation, a whole lot of your damage from this situation was you.
Yeah.
Did that person do anything to conflict with your values? They told you what they wanted. I want to control your time. Is there any value confliction with them wanting that? They can want it. They can want your time. They can want to control your time, and that doesn't conflict with your values. Now, when they don't honor that you have a choice in saying no, that's a confliction. But somebody wanting your time, there's no value confliction. Oh, are you requesting my time right now? Yes. No, you can't have it. End of story. You want it. I don't want to give it to you. Therefore, I choose not to give it to you. Are they entitled to feel however they want to about that? Absolutely. They're entitled to feel any way they want to about the choices I make in my life. They can feel any way they want to. Does that affect me? Shouldn't. Why does them feeling mad make me then want to change my choice? Then I would be acting in a way that's not true. Now, sometimes we make sacrifices, but you have to choose that, and then it's your choice. I choose to give you more of my time. I choose to ask you to give you the opportunity to give me an explanation or clarification. That's a choice. You ain't got to give that to nobody. Now, that's Lamana's value system. I want some clarity so that I have a clear conscience and I'm not making a decision in error. I misunderstood you and then I make a decision because I didn't understand what you were saying. And so I clarify, wait a minute, did you want to know if you could have some of my time right now? Is that what you wanted? Oh, yeah. Okay, then no, you can't have my emotional time right now. I don't have the emotional energy that I want to give you right now. The answer is no. Move on. But Lorana, that's mean. No, it's not. It's honest. It's honest. To lie to you would be mean. Lorana, I want to talk to you about something. I don't have the emotional energy I want to give you right now. I can't give you my attention. I got 3 things going on and I have 18 tabs open on my computer. No, I can't. I don't want to stop right now. Someone messaged me this week. I was in the middle of writing something and I was on one of them trains. And I said to myself, I can't even respond to them to tell them that I can't give them their time because it would derail me from my focus. And I want to have focus right now on this. This is what I want to give my energy. And I called them back afterwards and said I couldn't stop to give you even an explanation because I didn't want to be distracted by you. I don't care what you needed right then and there. I did not want to be distracted. Therefore, I didn't answer your call. And if that wasn't okay for them, then they're responsible for meeting their needs however they want to. But I wasn't willing to give of my time in any way to them at that point. That is a friend. And when I called back, I was honest. Now I can give you my time and my energy. What you need, what you want. And they want to talk about something that sure enough would have derailed me. And so part of this is not about doing anything other than crafting my life in a way that feels free and loving to me and more authentic, more and more loving, more and more healing to myself. The end results are the more healed I am, the less damage I do to you. So when we interact, it's going to be better because I ain't throwing as much damage your way in our interactions. And that is how I think we begin to change community. It starts with people. It's not a fast fix it. Nobody can do it for you. You can't buy your way out of healing. You can't delegate somebody else to do it for you. That's why I think people avoid it. And then they don't know how in ways that give them results. But this is about if I want the quickest, fastest way to be able to get back in control and get back in alignment with my true self, how do we do it? And I found it to be quite effective towards that end. So it works as you work it. And I appreciate you sharing. Any closing thoughts? Thank you for giving me your time this morning and allowing me to share on a broader audience by us broadcasting your business out here to the,
Nah,
inches of
I,
next. So
I,
thank you for the share, because this is you sharing with people that you ain't got no responsibility to help and heal either. This is how we do volunteer to give to others. This is I'm willing to let somebody else. And let me tell you a philosophy, and then I'll wrap it up and let you give some closing. My philosophy. This is from a business-minded person. Now, I've been self-employed most of my professional life before I retired, but this is return on investment. If I have a set amount of life to live every day, 24 hours, just like you, I want to get the biggest return on the investment for my energy. So part of that for me, my game with myself is you girl, learn from everything. Everything. Get your money's worth out of life. But by sharing, what this does is, if my experience, and this is a culmination of my experience on trying to find solutions for how to heal us and community, and can we do it at the same time, the most efficient route possible. I'm sharing that with you because if you get some value out of what I've learned, I get a bigger return on the investment for my energy. And so when others can learn from the things that I've learned from and don't have to learn it by going through the damage, then what that does is that increases the return on the investment of my energy, because you're getting some healing from energy that I'd have spent, so that you don't have to spend the energy bumping up against some stuff, hitting your head up against the wall, getting damaged, and then learning how to heal the damage. I'm helping you have a greater return on the investment of my energy, or I'm having that. And then you also are using your life energy more effectively, more in alignment with your truth and in love. And so this sharing is about the goodwill of community, that I ain't obligated to give nothing to nobody that I ain't responsible for, yet we do. And so I want to thank you for giving your time and vulnerability, because in this, the reason that we talked about doing this was about giving value to others. I know it works. I've seen it work. If others can get even a little bit of value, if they heard one tidbit and that helps them spark something in their life that they do a little bit differently and that helps them on their healing journey, then so be it. We are giving goodwill to others. So thank you for letting us broadcast your stuff so that we others can gain some insight. There's been others that have commented and have been sharing in this conversation. So thank you. So closing thoughts, wrap up.
yeah,
Thank you for the time to give me some closing words, closing wisdom for those that are still listening in or may see it on recast.
yeah. My purpose for this is dual purpose. I would say, first and foremost is to heal myself and learn healthy coping mechanisms for trauma and conflicting values in life. Right, that's the first one. The second part of doing it live is bringing community back together, people who look like you and I, um, because I believe we are the only community in this world at this point that could rescue ourselves financially. And an only way to rescue ourselves financially is, first and foremost, we have to love ourselves. And then we also have to love people who look like us, because then we would be willing to risk our financial livelihood on business adventures and things, or just doing things together as a community. Like I said, I would love to bring back Black Wall Street. That is still the most famous economy in the world. It took 17 months before the black dollar touched another person's hands. And since that time, we have never been able to get back to that. Black people in America control $4.3 trillion. Just imagine if we spent that dollars with ourselves and not with Gucci and Louis Vuitton and everybody else who don't like us, don't respect us, and don't want to include us in their community. We keep asking for a seat at a table that we're never going to get a seat at, when we can create a table for ourselves. So the whole point of this for me is, I have a lot of financial know-how. I know a lot of things about finances that we aren't using in our community. There's a lot of tools out here that we're completely either just afraid of, or completely mismanaging. And so, if we learn how to get to a place of healing, I think we'll become a whole lot less consumers and we can push business in our community more than consumption. So, that is my whole purpose of doing this. Like I said, first of all, is to heal. And second of all, for us to understand that we can heal and we can begin to love each other again and not see each other as enemies. We've been seeing each other as enemies for way too long. And I think I don't know another community in this world who attacks each other on the internet the way we attack each other. I don't care whether you're a black man or a black woman. If you don't want to date that other person in your race, that's fine. But the worst thing you can do is tear them down in front of the enemy and give them ammunition to shoot at them. And again, that's whether you male or female, is not helping our community on either side. It's not helping us look any better to anybody else. It's not helping us in business. It's not helping bring any money to the community. And it's actually counterproductive at the end of the day.
I think I can definitely agree that healing us as a foundation for how we heal community, I think is important. So thank you for sharing. Before I leave out, I know there's a few still maybe in the room. If there's any questions, one of the issues we were talking about trust was in the chat. Didn't really get to that, and so I'll try to remember that and bring that into next week's conversation about trust and giving trust. And sometimes our ego stuff swirls that too. It becomes that we have, and we just see it differently. So that's a topic that would be another rabbit trail. I don't want to get there as we're kind of trying to wrap up, but I'll try to bring that in to the conversation early on next week that we wrap up. For those that may not have caught the whole session or may want to go and listen to some of the other sessions that this is building on, I've been throwing the full video up onto my YouTube. My name is Lorana. I don't know how you found me. I think it's I am Lorana. I don't really know. Go to the link in the bio and find one of my other YouTube videos, and that'll be my page. And I put them in a playlist so you can see the two previous conversations that we've had, and this one will go up there as well. Any other feedback, input? Miss Blessed, I've been seeing, yep, I'm right on. I'm giving you a thumbs up every time you got that. I'm nodding. Any final comments from you? Any insight that you've gained from the part of the conversation that you heard? If you want to come up and share that, or if you want to put it in the box, let me know as we wrap up. Dwayne, thank you so much for your time this morning, and just making the commitment to really your thoughtful processing of these new skills and new ideas that may be a little bit different, but your willingness to be able to suspend your thoughts about it and just put it into motion and begin to see if it's giving you a new framework for interacting in life in ways that help you reach your emotional goals as well. So I want to just thank you for your time this morning. And
I want to thank you for taking the time to even share this. I mean, most people, something like this that can be so beneficial to people, people will be like, I'm gonna go hold this to my chest because I want to make as much money off of it as possible. And for you to sit here and spend hours, I mean, within the 3 sessions we've had, you probably put in 10 to 12 hours just on the video parts of them. We're not even talking about just the behind the scene texting back and forth. Just on the video portion alone, you spent 12 to 14 hours talking with me. So I just want to thank you for your time. Anybody who gets an opportunity to hear this, I hope you really try to practically use this in your life because it really can be beneficial. I've seen in just a little 3 sessions how quickly, again, I didn't work all the way through all 6 steps, but I got to step 2 in just one conversation just off of 2 sessions. So imagine having her around or paying for something, a full retreat down there with her in Ecuador. I mean, we really got to start supporting each other when we can see how it can be beneficial to our lives.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's that remind. I forget. I marketing is not my. I need somebody. I need somebody to join this team that wants to do social media and marketing. But yeah, let me put in the plug. Let me do that, because I'll be afterwards be like, girl, you missed the opportunity. All right, so plug. If you want more information about the training, I am living abroad now in Ecuador, so I'm having this conversation from Ecuador. You probably can see by the sarong life that I'm not in winter. We do perpetual spring here, but I came down and retired and have a healing center called the International Welcome Center. The website to reach that information is globalundergroundrailroad.com. There's a whole story. I ain't going into it. Globalundergroundrailroad.com. You'll find the center, and there's a couple of ways that you can interact with me. Reach out. One, go to my linktree/Lorana, and you can find ways to communicate with me directly. I'm really easy to find. But one of the things that we offer is we offer healing vacation retreats. You can literally come down and spend a week here. It's a real luxurious retreat in our guest house. We've got an 8-bedroom, 8-bath guest house here to entertain guests. That's one of the ways you can interact with us. We teach you and walk you through some of your boulder moving while you're here. You've got the ability to turn off all of life, as much of it as you'd like to, and devote this time to just yourself. The rest and regenerative process of healing that relaxation gives you, and to open up that space where we work through this, and we work through some of your deep stuff that really is done best in safe surroundings. I would not go that deep on internet just because y'all know what the streets be like out here. We also have other ways to connect with us. For those that want to just come and be in an environment, we rent out our upstairs guest house. It's a 3-bedroom, 3.5-bath condo that's part of our healing center that we rent out. You can just go on Airbnb and rent a week and come down and have a really affordable vacation for you and your family. And let me tell you why, because this is strategic. We have some building projects. We're building physical communities. We've got a project that's slated for groundbreaking, and part of the revenue that we generate from this is that healthy give and take, is going to be funding us building physical communities that deal with all aspects of sustainable living, including the social pieces. And we've got a project that's going to be building a 4-household community on the coast. It'll be a coastal property that we use for these kinds of works. So you can come rent as an Airbnb. You don't have to be that committed to healing. This is a healing environment, so we doing the work. But we also are partnering with other healers. If you have a healing modality, I don't care if it's through art or music or touch or sound, that our retreat space, we have a business model that works on collaboration. So you can partner with a healing vacation retreat and add that to what you're offering in your retreat, or we want those people to come use our facilities. We have a very sustainable economics. This is collaborative economics, where we have a cost matrix. So if you're an individual that wants to do a retreat for groups up to 78 with our network here in this area, but up to 16 here in our facilities, and want to use our space, we have a very attractive costing program so that we have a space for you to come and host your own retreats. And we're pretty open to what those retreats can be, and either retreats that we would do in collaboration, things that pair well with our healing retreat, or if you want to do your own and we just host you in this space. We want people to use the space because this is how we can do economics in a different way. That we talk about being in bondage. Some of the avenues for funding this kind of work also require a bondage, and we're saying we have new ways of doing this that are healthy give and take. We give you a fair exchange for the use of our space. If you want a week down here, I can show you how to do a real affordable week, because we have a 3-bedroom condo. Bring your whole family, and it's a flat rate. It's a flat rate. It's like timeshare used to be. And so those are some of the ways. Also, I do speaking, but I do less and less of that domestically because it costs to leave, to travel. But for those, we've got some workshops and some weekend retreats for organizations where we can come in, and we have a package that really brings a healing opportunity to your organization. And then we have the program that I'm really passionate about is our co-housing program, which also gives us opportunity to do leadership training. You can come and live here in community. Even those that are trying to dabble out of the country, you can do a 3-month or a 6-month commitment here, and you can participate in our leadership training, which gives you the whole toolbox. There's about 9 key modules of training. The healing is just one. It's the foundation. But for those who see their role as helping us move into the new paradigm, we have a full leadership training program and some certification programs in our consulting work, our emotional health and safety consulting work. There's some certification programs that we have for those that want this to be an economic vehicle for them, to move into the work of healing. So those are just the plugs. You can find all of those links on nowastedtime.com. That's our collaborative page. Some of the projects I've mentioned, some I haven't mentioned, the Women Heal Together, the Village Builder retreats that include things like survival training and skill building and solar panel building and stuff like that. But if this line of thinking is enticing to you and you want to learn more, or if it's in alignment with work that you're doing, we want to partner, we want to collaborate, or at least know you so we know who our support network is. That's my plug. That's my tell people what you're doing, tell them what they can buy, that kind of thing. We sell these services. We want you to help us fund the building of community. So thank you for bringing that up and highlighting that part. Blessed, do you have something that you want to join? I don't know if she's still in. Miss Blessed, did you want to jump in and speak into this conversation?
Yes, I was just commending you for the way that you dissected and broke it down into bite-sized pieces. I have had counseling, but the way that you were able to respond as he unfolded his thoughts, and you were able to help him dissect it even further for when he spoke and he could hear himself as he heard himself and process it. I like the way you allow him to process it himself, and then what he did not process, you were able to come back and help process that, because that's one of the things where I can hear myself when I speak and I process it. But like the things that I feel after the conversation that comes to my mind later on that day after a counseling session or therapy session, those are things that I think of after the fact. You know what I mean? So it's like, I like the fact that he's able to get that resolution, in real time.
Were there any parts of it that seemed to be apparent conflictions with your current value system? Anything for you that was like, oh, wait, something ain't quite right here, or is there something that I don't agree with?
No, it was totally on point. As I said, it's totally on point. And that's the only thing that I always long for as you spoke. I can hear my spirit, like I'm speaking now, I can hear myself speak and I can dissect what I'm saying. So as I journal, as I write, as I speak, I can hear what I said. And the therapy for me is hearing back the words I'm speaking to myself. But the things that I don't pick up, you were able to pick them up and tell him, these are things that when you spoke, these are things you left out. So these ways of dissecting to bite-sized pieces, those skill sets that you were giving were very tactic. And I like the way you put it together, the words you articulated, and he was able to receive it in the same session, not like later on. You know what I mean? He was able to get the full circle. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that portion of it, because sometimes we just may think of it in a one-track mind because we're just used to thinking in that one way. But as you added another way of looking at it, it was in a way that you get it. Some people are not able to do that, put things into a works where you just get it, and you say, well, before you get on this long trail and before you vent in the wrong direction, let me stop you. That's another tactic. Before my mind gets into putting an excuse in the way I'm thinking, I'm making making words for, verifying, okay, this is why I feel, no, I need to stop thinking this way. I need to stop feeling this way and just be okay with it, but able to process it and turn it into a negative to a positive. And that's what I was getting a lot of, just retransitioning that negativity mindset that we have. And it may not sound negative, but it is, because we're looking at situations different. It should be more of a learning and growing process, and how to get what we need to get from it. And if we're unable to be in a healthy mindset, we need to remove ourselves in a better atmosphere.
Right.
I think that's the value of the coaching system. The coaching modality for me is about saying, I'm not going to fix it for you, but for a while, if I hold your hand, and some of that is helping to re-steer your thought process as you're learning a new thought process, that eventually the goal is that you're going to be the one doing this for yourself. You'll be your own coach. You'll be your own pastor. You'll be your own therapist if we're really implementing ground level kind of change. And that's really the heart of it. So I appreciate you sharing that because that lets me see that that is being it's being transferred. What my intent is what's showing up on the outside. That this is about coaching him. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Your thinking's going sideways. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Let's get back on track. Okay, okay, I'm back on track. Whoo! We got ourselves back. That's what coaching is about. Is to help you
Right.
your
Right.
life. I ain't on the court of your life. I ain't on the court. I'm on the court this 1 hour. This is the point of connection for us. The coach isn't the one out there throwing that ball,
Right.
taking the hits. It's you. And so you've got more of a vested interest than I got in your healing. Should be. If I'm more invested in your healing than you are, we got a problem. That balance is off. And so it is about helping you get to the point where you can be empowered to do this for yourself once you've learned better. It's not just knowing better. If I can't live that, it's learning how to live it and then letting you go and say, do your best, do your best. Good luck and Godspeed, do your best.
Right.
Because life may not always be connected to mine. You may not see me no more after these sessions. He may not interact with me no more. Our life may go in different paths. But if
I
he's
know
got the
I'm coming down for the training. I want the certification. I want, I want to
you
learn.
do.
I
I told you I want to
know.
learn how to
Tell you,
do the
agenda.
create
I
compounds
need
and
I need
self-sustaining compounds and all that.
so my career was in business development consulting. I'll tell you how to put them. That business model already in place. We need healers. We need better healers. And it's not that other healers aren't good, but my work is about paradigm shifts, about the changes and catching those changes and being on the front side of them. If you are a healer, top of your game, and you're helping people heal from an old paradigm perspective, that paradigm is dying. This is about we're moving into a new paradigm, and the tools that you need to go where we're going aren't the tools that keep you in the old paradigm. And so, even if healers, life coaches have gotten tools that have been working in that paradigm, I want to work with them because we need new tools to get us to a new place. We need tools that go deeper. We need tools that go broader because I firmly believe, and I will have a debate with anyone on this by the fact that we have a 100% trauma rate. Forget what they've been telling you. We have a 100% trauma rate, and we need solutions that can get to the most. And so part of my agenda is I want to find the shifters and pioneers of this new paradigm who feel called to do this work, and I want to get you prepared. But this is not a paradigm that lets you fake it till you make it. This is if you can't live it, you cannot lead it. And I'm real firm about that. And so part of this is creating an industry that's different. Yes, it's coaching in a sort of way, but this is the kind of coaching that whatever your life passion takes you, you can go and be a healer in that by adding these tools to your own life. By learning how to live it, you can then be a teacher of anyone that crosses your path. I don't care if it's the person cutting food at the grocery store. I'm a healer. And I am going to operate from my healed existence, and I'm going to give them love. And we teach you tools on then how to use this in an outward way with others in community, and how to create businesses that follow these models, and how to create life and other organizations and physical communities that use this as the foundation. So we have a motive. We need leaders. And we need leaders before the major crash in the shift in society that's happening on a global level. It's much better to get prepared before the crisis happens. Not that we're not living in crisis times, but before our major social paradigm shift happens. We need leaders prepared. Just as you're learning, you got a little bit, but you got a little bit and you still go left field. We need leaders who get to the point where they are in control and not being triggered by the external. They're operating from their internal, strong leaders. Those who will take us to change. So part of this is I'm very strategic about what I'm doing. I have an agenda, just like folk have. I'm just putting it on the table.
Right.
I want us to have better leaders. And if leaders don't heal, they can't lead us in this new paradigm. If leaders are talking leadership and there's no healing or conflict resolution in their talk from the beginning, because if you put people together, you know they're not in perfect alignment, which means you realistically know there's going to be trauma. If you don't have the foresight as a leader to then put trauma resolution and conflict resolution in your plan, I don't care if it's business or coaching or modalities, if that's not in your plan from the beginning, you are not ready for the new paradigm. You're leading us in ways that only get us to the old paradigm. My work is intentional. My place is called, the website is the Global Underground Railroad. When you realize that the current paradigm is bondage for you and you're looking for freedom even before it's crashed, where do you go? We want you to take a step and retool and equip yourself for the new paradigm. And it's going to start with healing you. We can't take this dysfunction into the new. We know it's going to change.
We cannot continue the path that we are down. It is a path of destruction for humanity at this
We
point.
get the same thing. That's the insanity. You're going to take your foolishness. I don't care if you, and this is, I get into this with expat people. You you need to leave the United States. You're going to come live overseas. I'm sorry. We don't want you to bring your dysfunction with you out
Yeah,
here.
you're gonna bring the damage. You're gonna bring the baggage.
Right. You got to heal the damage first before you take it somewhere else.
You can move, like you could take the country out of the person, but just take
They take the person out that country out of them. You're absolutely right. So
The
you
Black
gotta
Sit
heal
movement
first.
is growing. And I'm saying, but y'all mad about stuff. That means you damaged by the traumatizing environment we live in American culture. And instead of you healing first, you just gonna run away from it? No, running away gonna be your drug of choice.
Right. I don't want to run. I want to leave America. I want to decide to leave this country.
Thin line, you hear that thin line? We're doing the same behavior, but the motivation is different. One, it becomes a drug of choice. You're avoiding dealing with the reality of the fact that you're part of the problem of America. You are part of the problem. You part of it. Me, I'm a Black woman, and I understand now differently. I don't talk about colonizer mindset a whole lot anymore. What I talk about is American superiority.
Right.
We have a sense of American superiority. Me, I'm a Black woman coming down here into a place where I am centered. I'm norm. People of color is the norm. I ain't never lived this before. As a woman of color, they don't know if I'm Afro-Latino or not till I start talking too much and my Spanish runs out. Ah, you gringo. That's the way gringo. See, yo soy gringo. I fooled you though till you started asking me too many questions. I look like you. You look like me. We peeps. I have traced my genealogy. I know part of the African diaspora, sent some of my relatives through here and split them up before they came to the Americas. I'm unweaving some stuff. For real, for real. There's some of the other stuff I do in my retired time, tracking some things, looking at some things. But if I don't understand that I picked up some of this American sense of superiority, I'm down here acting like everything in America is the right way of doing things. Wait a minute. And I start asking myself, is it wrong or is it just different? Oh, it's not wrong. It's just different. The honey is different. Well, Lorana, is that bad? No, I like it. It's fruity. It's thinner. It's lighter in color. And it tastes like tropical fruit. I ain't never had, but it was not the same consistency. It was different than my beekeeper friends, back home do. And I thought they was lying to me. This is some fake honey. This ain't real honey. It's too cheap to be real honey. What they talking about, $1 a jar for some honey? Is it real? Is it that corn syrup? I see the TikToks. It's real. And then I realized, you assume they lying to you. Where you get that from? That's my American superiority at play. That's my egotistic nature at play. I assume that they lying to me because this 8-ounce jar of honey is $1. That corn syrup, they done flavored it. And then I realized, girl, that's you.
Yep. It's just different.
To think that you should charge a premium for high quality food. Let me just start there. I'm a farmer. I know the game. Throw this label on there and you can charge twice as much. It's a little bit better, but it ain't much better. But if we say it's certified organic, you can charge $10 a pound. And these people are selling it for 25 cents. And you got your misconceptions because their value system is different. You didn't hit up. High quality food is the cheapest here. Junk food is the most. They will charge you taxes and 4 times as much, 25% of your weekly budget for a candy bar.
It's labeling and advertising and marketing.
It's values. In America, for you to have healthy food, we expect you to be willing to pay a premium for high quality food. That's a value system that's based on consumerism and greed and hoarding of resources and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah. Well, because it's all about
The
all
value
the money
system
to
is
the
different
top.
here.
It's a different mindset. The way when you get to different cultures, you get to see it's a different type of mindset. America is all
Came
about
down
greed.
here with my American mindset, and you know what? Slap in the face. Girl, you used to live in where people try to get over on you for high quality, for healthy food.
Right.
And so you come down here and think that these people are doing the same thing. These people ain't done you no harm. Matter of fact, I go by and guess what they do? They give me free stuff. I done paid you for this. Well, you giving me free stuff? I ain't paid for them oranges. And Tomas, my regular guy, my neighborhood fruit spot, Tomas said, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna give you some extra. That's a mindset that don't even match up. What you mean gonna give me some extra? You gonna charge me a premium for the little bit you did give me, and then if I want something extra, you gonna charge me a premium now, because now you know I want it. You're gonna charge me even more. They do the opposite here. But when I come with my American mindfulness, my American addicted mindfulness, the damage of American superiority that ain't got no color. I'm a black woman, so you can't even say it's white supremacy. No, it's American superiority, and we don't understand when we dealing in global that our American culture, they don't care if we black or white. It's the same dysfunction that they're saying, we don't do that here. I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense to us. And so when I come here and assume that they have the same value system that I've put up my defenses to fight against there, wait a minute, girl, let your guards down. This lady ain't lying to you. You done got 3 people to help you translate to make sure you asking clearly. She said it's the honey from the bees. The honey from the bees. You got clarity. She's not lying to you. Oh, that's your damage that makes you defensive in those ways. You were afraid she was trying to take advantage of you. That's my shit. That's my damage. I'm unweaving that stuff down here because even though I'm healing, I didn't realize that. They do things differently. Is it bad or is it wrong? No, I like getting the free goodies just because. I go to the farmer's market back in the States. Good. Ain't nobody giving you free. They don't even want you to taste nothing these days.
But that's free marketing. That's how they look at it.
No, it's in here. It ain't about marketing.
No,
Here,
it's so
it's not.
easy
It's
to grow
just
that.
sharing the
Yeah,
abundance.
it's so easy
Well, I
to
guess when you
grow
don't
it.
come from a place
It's like
like
nothing.
yeah,
The
you're
junk
not
food
black.
would cost. The junk food is what's cost because the label is packaged. That's what they have to get. But they grow that. That's common dime a dozen to grow something. That's second nature, just to grow
They
it
don't mind
and
sharing.
pass it
It ain't
out,
about the money.
share
You my
it. The
neighbor.
culture.
You my neighbor. It's about shit. So it's a different value system that's hitting up against my American-minded defensiveness, my damage.
So
I'm
they come from
seeing
abundance, so they think about you're in the community, so I should share with you because I have.
Never consider charging you a premium for base things like your food. Why would I charge you a premium? Everybody gonna eat. We gonna eat abundantly. Why? Because nature provides. I got a whole avocado tree in my front yard and my backyard. I'm on the 2nd story and I'm looking at the tree and it's up above me at 3rd story height. That's how big it is. And these ain't the only 2 avocado trees in this neighborhood. There's one around the corner that's 40 feet tall. It's abundant. They're not living in the kind of food deprivation trauma that we as Americans are living. Let's just get to the core. I try to drill things down to the core. We live in a sense of scarcity when it comes to food, healthy food. It's a premium. If you can afford it, you can have it. That is not the value system here. This is the average income is less than $500 a month here. But thinking that being poor means you don't eat well is not the value system. What sense does that make? You got to eat. What do you mean? You got to pay a premium to be able to eat well. I can eat lavishly on about $20 a week here. Papaya, there's a variety of papaya that's in season now. It's 10 inches tall. Football is bigger than a football. It's about 8 inches going straight across it and 10 inches tall. I had a pineapple that was 12 inches tall. I had to pull it. I said, I can't even believe this. I pulled it 12 inches tall at its ripe, peak of ripeness. And it'd be like $1. Big old bag of tomatoes. And I'd be like, look, it's just me. I just need 50 cents worth. I can't eat that many in a week. Just give me 50 cents worth. Tomatoes, onions, cucumbers, greens, watermelon, melons, dragon fruit, things that I would think of as exotic is just normal here. It's just regular. And during the season, somebody was showing me yesterday, I was out playing Frisbee at the park, and we were talking about the cost. It was some Americans. And we were saying about dragon fruit. And he went online and said his friend sent him this. Dragon fruit at the grocery store, one of the American grocery stores, was $16.99 a pound. In the peak of season for us, they 4 for $1. They 25 cents. 25 cents. $16.99 a pound there. So you're going to pay $10, $12 for one. But they're 25 cents for me. And I use American dollars. So when I say a quarter, when I say I'm going to the store with a quarter, I mean a quarter, one of them little silver quarters that you pull out your pocket or you throw in your ashtray or your spot where you put loose change. But if I come back to the America, it would be $12, $13 for that one piece of fruit. Here it's a quarter. It's a quarter. And so there's a difference in value system. But this mimics exactly what's happening. We've been in the news. And I say, this is how change works. You don't want to be uncomfortable, but you want change. You want the cartel under control. You want the people to be back in control, the government to be uncorrupt. What do you think that's going to look like? They're going to get big mad. They're going to get big mad. And what do? Crack down. They've had some coordinated arrests here. I've been looking at the numbers in some of the videos. Amazing. They don't show that. They show you the 2 incidents with these little kids, 16 to 25-year-old kids, front runners, linemen on the front lines of these gangs and cartels. But they don't see the hundreds of arrests, the coordination. They got them lined up with their hand. They had the criminals there. You're going to paint this graffiti on this wall before we take you to jail. No, right now, we bring in the paint. You go paint this graffiti that we caught you putting up here, tagging, and then we taking your butt to jail. Who you think going to clean up this mess? Paint this mess over before you leave and go to jail. But we don't want to deal with the messiness, the painfulness of unweaving the damage. And so I'm living where this is in line with my values, the priorities they place. Every park's got exercise equipment and walking trails. The government in this poor country have paid for that because it's important to them. People. The flowers that they come and manicure in all the parks, that's important to them. They pay for it. The people, every plant in my park is hand manicured by someone. That's a different value system for me. They could get a riding mower. As a brigade, they cut this it's probably 3 or 4 acres right in front of my house that runs along the river. It's an army of men and women with their weed trimmers that come and trim this park and keep it manicured. That's a different value system of being connected. And so part of it is I recognize my damage from the American superiority mindset, that the American way is good and right and honorable, no matter what it looks like. And then I'm down here trying to live that. And it's like, this does not line up with what my life is like. And so it's helping me do a greater level of healing because it's continuous, it's progress. Didn't realize how much it affected me because I was thinking, I'm black folk. White superiority affected me too. And I ain't really got none of that issues. And I get down here and realize, girl, you got it. You don't realize it because you were making their sin worse than your sin. But y'all all got the same disease. Damage, ego. So it's a growth process for us all. And this is giving me my own personal chapter in a new chapter of healing for me. How do I get rid of some more stuff? Which stuff you getting rid of? My Americanness, the part of my Americanness that was so wrong and so damaging. And girl, it ain't gonna serve you well if you keep using it down here. And buy that doggone honey for $1. It's the real deal. It's the real deal. Get over yourself. Get over your damage. Understand what it is. You ain't gonna heal it all, but you begin to heal it piece by piece, and that makes it better. And that's what the journey's all about. Like, that's what the journey's about. Are we really committed to healing? And if so, do we really have solutions that work? If this wouldn't work for you, if this ain't working for you, don't waste your time with me in the mornings. You got other things to do with your time if it ain't working. But the only way you can tell is by using it. That's the catch 22. Because if you use it and it works, hot diggity, you sold. If you use it and it don't work, well, then you disprove it and you keep moving on. But I found it to be a tool that gives people some tools that they don't have in life. Use what you got if it's working. But if you don't, here's some tools to try to help you begin to take some more layers off. And life gives you what you need. If you find some other tools to layer on it for your life, add a little music therapy, add a little yoga if you need to. Go get you some church if that's what you need. Get you some self-help books, whatever it takes. If our goal is healing, and we've got to start with us, the people, as the most efficient, strategic way to heal community, then really, are we serious or not? That's the bottom line. If you're not, cool. Love you, but I'm going to set boundaries real good for you. If you do want to do this work, let's do it together, because you need support in the right direction. Not somebody going to put a battery in your back. You need support that's going to help you get to healing. Who's your healing support team? If you ain't got one in your life, get one. Get one. Get one. If you ain't got one and can't get one, reach out. That's what our services are for, to be able to help you develop a support team, or to be that support team for you for as long as you need. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
I commend you still for being able to pinpoint that skill set. Before, I still have to go back. Before he went on to a rant of whatever, you were able to pinpoint a natural instinct to pinpoint what it was that needs to be rectified and changed, and what that healing process would start from. And that's such a great way to be able to naturally be aware of what something looks like, and then you could see it before it starts to unravel. So you caught it. That's what I saw unfold, and before me, you caught what he was saying, and you were able to pinpoint it and redirect so ever so gently, ever so fast, in another direction. And I think, like you were saying, leadership and having that skill and naturally knowing that you are a healer based on what I saw your gift was before my eyes, and seeing it for another. So you was able to see him being able to be healed, and for him to see it for himself, even if he hasn't transitioned, to know that you're already healed. It's just a mindset transition. And he's able to say, hey, I can do this, and I can even teach others how to do it ever so fast. So he was able to say that so fast. Hey, I'm interested in the whole thing. So he's able to see himself already healed. So that's already, I'm seeing healing before my eyes, is why I described it to you again. And to unfold and see that, my content is about, healing, affirmation, manifestation, journaling. So I'm all advocate for healthy foods, organic fruits and vegetables. My mindset is already, there. So I get it where you are. I'm just looking at, like you saying, to pinpoint the gift of another. And I just saw you, pinpoint that for him. And then he was able to say, hey, give me more about what you do. And then I didn't know all those things. I saw the whole tropical look. And I'm like, well, no, she's probably not, in the States with the tropical look, And I just saw before my eyes you saying, okay, I'm in a healing journey. And this is, then you painted a whole picture of where you were and your whole mindset, which is already healing. Just listening to you saying how you're healing and your atmosphere and your environment, and how healing it is, and how you don't have to pay over abundance for organic foods, or even have to use organic.
Yeah.
It's the market or the fresh foods.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you sharing. That's one of the ways. This is kind of how can I do social media and be honest and not conflict my values? And part of it was, I ain't fixing to make up no stuff. Folk got real issues. And I felt like I can use this space to do some life processing with people. And so if there's an opportunity and you'd love to connect, because I feel like that lets people learn, but it lets others be able to see the process too. So being able to kind of come on this space and do some life processing with people is one of the ways. So if others want to connect in that way, just let me know. If I'm out here on live, or I could be on live on many days, and people want to do some live processing, I'll take them through the steps. Part of this process has a healing circle kind of format that can do group kind of healing work. But if there's individuals, if you've got a time and you've got an issue that you'd like to take through the system and do the processing steps together, then just reach out. And that's for anyone that other healers or just individuals that got stuff going on in their life, and they say, hey, let me take my situation right now and walk it through these steps and see if these steps give me some resolution capacity. People can reach out with me. Just send me a message, and I may not do as in depth, but we'll do 30 minutes and take one incident and work through the steps with you, and see if it begins helping people learn some different processing tools. So thank you for your sharing, Ms. Blessed, and connect if you see an opportunity. Dwayne, Cat got your kicks. Thank you again, and I'll bring this time together to a close. Thank you for being generous with your time today and letting us use your real life as a training tool for others to share in with. Ms. Bless, thank you for your encouraging words and giving me your perspective, because that lets me know how this is landing. Is this landing in a way that gives people useful information? I want my time to be useful because I like getting a return on the investment. So thank you for your input and your feedback. And for the others that have come and gone in the chat, or who may see this at a later time, thank you guys, and good wishes for the rest of your weekend. And we'll see you again the next time.
All right, later.
Take care.
Out. Okay.
Take care. Bye, Miss Bless.